them. I don't think so.
No, I don't think you're modest enough. Sometimes.
Most times, you're right. All right, come here. Enjoy your Are you making pancakes?
I made them last night.
Okay. Do you have a quick recipe?
No, just usual stuff. But
you mean you get it in the plastic bottle, do you?
No, I don't do that.
Right, okay.
No, but see, I'm gluten free, so I can't. I was in Dunn stores yesterday trying to buy. Anyway, long short, I make my own because I'm celiac.
Okay.
At least celiac.
So what can't you eat?
No, it's just wheat. It's just
what's
wheat.
in that? Is that flour? Is it?
Yeah, wheat flour.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So Oddlums don't do it anymore, which is terrible. You know, Oddlums.
Yeah.
They don't do gluten free flour anymore.
Wow.
And they were the best.
So, are you looking for a gluten-free flour alternative from the listeners?
Yes, and there was one there that I tried, and I was a bit reluctant to try because it can be chalky enough. You know,
I get you.
But it was maybe we didn't have pancakes in a long, long time. But I used this flour and it was grand. You know, the boys liked them. I put plenty of chocolate on it.
You have to get them right. Well, if you can put Nutella all over them, it doesn't.
Chocolate buttons melted on them.
I mean, you could get a wrap. And just pretend that was a pancake. You put enough,
not the same.
Put enough chocolate on it. And if you put enough chocolate on it, it's the same thing.
Too light.
Okay.
Too thick.
A bit like myself. All right, take care, Lee. Back tomorrow morning, of course. It's 9 o'clock, just a little after now. Let's get a news update from Donald.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. A cross-party delegation of Donegal councillors is en route to Dublin to join a public protest outside Leinster House, demanding equality for defective block homeowners. The Micah Action Group says 20 councillors have responded to their call to send a strong message to government that ongoing delays in providing proper redress are unacceptable. The former US President Bill Clinton says the inquiry into the Omagh bombing should not be established on British terms alone. The UK government announced a statutory inquiry earlier this month into the atrocity which resulted in the deaths of 29 people and unborn twins. The former US President made his comments on a new podcast, As I Remember It, Bertie Ahern and the Good Friday Agreement, which launches on Thursday of this week. Bill Clinton says there must be consultation with a range of people before the inquiry is established.
There needs to be something just for Omagh, I think. It may not be throwing 30 people in prison for 30 years. There may not. And I think the victims groups need to be consulted. The citizens need to be consulted. And I think the process should not be unilateral. That is, it can't just be what the British think should be done.
Ministers are meeting this morning to sign off on a €1.2 billion package of living support measures. People receiving social welfare payments are to get a €200 lump sum. There'll be a one-off €100 extra child benefit payment and €100 extra on the back to school allowance. The 9% VAT rate for the hospitality sector will be extended until September before returning to 13.5%. Louise Bayliss from Spark, which represents single parents, is disappointed, however, that there aren't targeted supports for vulnerable families.
You know, these general increases in social welfare rates and one-off packages do not target where support is needed. And we were slightly hopeful because there were no real measures in the budget for lone parents last year, and we were really hoping that there would be some sort of adjustment to make up for that this year, and obviously that hasn't happened.
A 34-year-old man arrested in Derry at the weekend has been released. He'd been questioned in relation to an attempted hijacking in the Hollymount Park area of the city on Friday night and the subsequent discovery of a suspicious device in the Carroddy Road area on Saturday. And an observatory in County Roscommon has recorded 40 sightings of UFOs. Dr. Eamon Ansbro says the sightings were picked up at the Kingsland Observatory in Boyle over a 22-year period. The US military recently shot down objects seen over US and Canadian airspace, with officials admitting they didn't know what the objects were. And the weather forecast: it'll be mostly cloudy with patches of light rain and drizzle this morning and into the early afternoon. More persistent rain will develop, though, in the late afternoon into the evening. Top temperatures today 10 to 11 degrees Celsius with moderate to fresh and gusty southerly winds. That's Highland Radio News. Back with news in full at 10 o'clock.
I'll never forget the first time we arrived at our
beautiful lodge, our cosy
base for the next week of fun.
We cycled through the forest for
hours and whooshed down the rapids.
Again and again.
And again. Remember when
Dad couldn't even hit the board at archery? And when the ducks wouldn't stop following our
boat? We'd never giggled so much.
It really was something special. And that's why we love
to go back.
Start your story today. Centre Parks Ireland. Family forever. Book now at centreparks.ie.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. And now it's time for the talk of the Northwest, The 9 till Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning. Just about to turn 5 minutes past 9 on this Tuesday, the 21st of February 2023, Shrove Tuesday, Pancake Tuesday. We're looking for recipes here. If you've got any suggestions, 0866. Hey, if you have any pancakes, drop them in. Mountaintop letter Kenny, 086 60 25,000. Honey, sugar, butter, all the stuff Caroline's giving up for Lent. Lash it on. Leave the Nutella in the fridge. Don't want that. Or maybe it goes in the cupboard. I don't know where Nutella goes. Anyway, 086 60 25,000. Share your pancake recipes if you wish. We might be giving you some suggestions a little later on as well. And the lines are open for everything else as well. Call us on 07491 25,000. WhatsApp and text. I gave you that number, and your email is comments@highlandradio.com. If you want to watch the show on your smart TV, your Fire Stick, open up the YouTube app or the Facebook Watch app and search Highland Radio. Watch us there, or on your devices using the regular apps as well. All right, it's good to have you all on board wherever you are, and hopefully we're going to keep you entertained over the next 3 hours on the programme. Well, let's start with a look at what's making the front pages and the insides of today's newspapers. We'll start with the Donegal Democrat. 22 businesses affected by the Creasla explosion last October have received almost €100,000 in emergency humanitarian support as efforts by the community to return to normal continue. Local businesses are fighting to get back to where they were before the event that changed so much in their locality. Local councillor Michael McClafferty said he welcomed the cash boost, adding anything that helped the village start the journey back to normality was welcomed. I don't know how. I don't know who got what in terms of financial assistance, but everyone recognises all help is welcome after what happened in the village, he said. On to the Derry Journal today. A cross-party delegation of Donegal councillors is set to descend on Dublin to make a public protest outside Leinster House to demand equality of 100% redress for the many thousands of victims of defective concrete homes. The deputation will consist of around 20 county councillors from Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, Sinn Féin, Labour and independents who've responded to the call of affected homeowners for their elected local reps to stand up, be counted and send a very public message to government that the ongoing anguish and lack of equality endured by families victims to defective concrete blocks homes is utterly unacceptable. And I do hope, and I'm sure it's been the case, that the national broadcasters have been notified of the event, because it's pretty unique. You know, when can you think of the last time a cross-party delegation of local reps descended on the capital demanding something of government, and government members within those ranks demanding same, but you really need the cameras pointed at them for it to have as big an effect as is possible. So hopefully they've been notified, and hopefully they do turn out there. The Irish Independent tells us of the package being unveiled by government to address the cost of living crises. 200 bonus payment for all social welfare recipients, which will be welcome news, I'm sure. All social welfare recipients will receive a €200 bonus payment under a fresh round of cost of living supports agreed by the government, which is set to total $1.25 billion. The payment will be made to pensioners, carers, lone parents and people with disabilities, among others. The coalition leaders also agreed to give a €100 bonus for every child on the child benefit scheme. Additionally, there'll be €100 extra on the back-to-school clothing allowance to support families. Social Protection Minister Heather Humphreys went into the meeting of government leaders proposing a €150 bonus for all welfare rates. However, she argued at the meeting that it could be increased to 200. Now, as well as that, the 9% VAT rate for hospitality and, I presume, hairdressers and other businesses that also qualified for it currently, it's going to be extended until the end of August. That's going to cost $300 million, which I don't know, in terms of job support and support of the tourism industry, doesn't sound incredibly expensive with the type of money we're talking of. The cost of diesel, though, there will be increases on excise duty. This is diesel and petrol, of course. An increase in excise duty from June 1st. Petrol goes up by 6 cents and diesel by 5 cents. On September 1st, petrol will go up another 7 cents. Diesel will go up another 5 cents. The remaining 8 cents on petrol and 6 cents on diesel will increase on October 31st, which is... you're going to see a litre of petrol and diesel go up quite significantly. You can only hope that maybe there might be a drop in the raw cost of these commodities, these fuels, that might offset it somewhat, but still it's going to cost us an awful lot more to drive. The 9% rate on electricity and gas bills will be extended until the end of October. They are expecting those bills to come down over the course of the year, so hopefully there will still be more money in our pockets come next winter. What do you think of that? 086 60 25,000. I suppose any support is welcomed. Does it go far enough? I'm not really quite sure. My focus, and it's beyond me, my focus would be to ensure that those who need the money get the money. You know, I mean, I presume there are people who receive a pension or people who receive child benefit that aren't under pressure. But everyone's going to get it. I'm not sure if that's right or wrong. It's a universal payment. Maybe more could be given to those that genuinely need it. But how do you determine that? I don't know. The EU expects Sunak to push ahead with protocol deal. We were talking about this on the show yesterday, as everyone was, I suppose. Senior figures in Dublin and Brussels expect UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak to push ahead with a new deal with the EU on the Northern Ireland Protocol, despite signs yesterday of a rebellion within his own party. He's okay, though, because he's got Labour's backing. They've signed him a blank cheque, and he's got the backing of the senior members of his party. So you'll have a few junior ministers that will fall on the sword, a few others that will perhaps leave the party. But he has enough support to push through with this if he so wants to. Mr Sunak is under intense domestic pressure from former Prime Minister Boris Johnson and the group of hardline Eurosceptics in his party, and with the DUP as yet undecided on whether to back a deal. The fate of the proposed agreement still hangs in the balance, though I would say it's quite heavily tipped towards a deal being announced. It'll be good for Sunak if he can get that over the line. And it's good for him, with everything that's going on, to have a decent relationship with his European neighbours. On to the Daily Mail now. I had to pick something out because a lot of the stories have replicated across the papers, of course. I do know some of you out there have an interest in Enoch Burke and what he's continuing to do, and he is continuing to do it. He's jeopardised his chances of the appeal court ruling in his case after again he returned to his former school after the midterm break. Mr Burke, who was dismissed last month from Wilson's Hospital School in County Westmeath, insists the High Court order to stay away is invalid. Now, this despite the fact he's actually he is sacked. His repeated breaches of the order led to a 3-month stay in Mountjoy for contempt of court and a daily fine of €700 per day. He now owes over €17,500. Court of Appeal President George Birmingham has instructed him that court orders are valid unless and until they're overturned by a higher court. Mr Burke appealed the order, but Judge Birmingham warned the Court of Appeal could withhold its judgment if he continued to breach the order while the court is reaching its decision. So there's not really a very big out for him there. An interesting story. I'm not sure if there's anything from it, but I'm sure you saw over the weekend a lady, Julia Wendell is her name, and she released a video on social media. I think it was on TikTok or Instagram. It was on both. I'm not sure where it appeared first. And she feels that she might be Madeleine McCann. Now, this is obviously a very vulnerable woman because she's not aware of her identity or her history. So regardless of whether or not, and it's perhaps unlikely she is Madeleine McCann, this is a person that needs support. But a young woman who claims she is 100% convinced she's missing British girl Madeleine McCann has posted a new video to Instagram. Julia Wendell, who's 21, shared a video of herself chatting to police psychic Dr. Fia Johansson, who previously claimed in 2020 that Madeleine was living in Germany. In her latest video, Polish woman Julia said her family have shunned her over her claims. She said police in the UK and Poland have been ignoring her, but she wants a DNA test to prove she is the little girl who went missing from her holiday apartment in Portugal 16 years ago. Can you believe? She was just 3 at that time. It's understood the McCanns have agreed to the DNA test. Now, she's 21. Madeleine McCann was 3 when she disappeared 16 years ago. So basic maths would dictate that either she has her age wrong or it's not her. Well, Julia broke down in tears in the video and said her family have expressed their disapproval. In the clip, she said, "My grandma called me. She said I'm a very bad person, that she doesn't want to meet me anymore. She started to shout at me. I asked her for a DNA test with her or with my parents, and she will not. She will not." That's where it finishes. It just kind of ends there. So, as I say, at the very, very least, there's a vulnerable woman there that needs support and not exploitation, I would suggest. We were talking about when energy prices might increase. A great deal of speculation because no one knows. It's in the gift of the energy suppliers. But the Mirror tells us today that families' hopes for imminent energy cost savings have been dashed as providers say it could be over a year before bills come down. Pinergy, which hiked its charges 7 times in the last 2 years, announced price cuts yesterday. But Bord Gáis Energy, Electric Ireland, Energy of Flowgas and SSE Electricity are not set to follow Pinergy, they have confirmed. Pinergy CEO Enda Gunnell said, "We had committed to reducing prices when circumstances and market conditions allowed." Comparison firm Bonkers.ie warned Pinergy's rivals will now face pressure to announce cuts. Their spokesperson said, however, a lot will depend on their hedging strategies and when they board their gas and electricity. Firms urged customers who need assistance with bills to contact them. But they're still quite expensive. And last but not least, your old iPhone could be worth a fortune. A first-generation Apple iPhone in its original box is sold for a world record of, wait for it, €50,000. 16 years after its release, the factory-sealed handset, which cost almost €560 when it went on sale in 2007, still has its plastic wrapping. Karen Green was gifted the iPhone by colleagues in the summer of 2007, but as she already had a mobile, she wrapped the handset in pyjamas and placed it in a shelf. Lo and behold, digs it out 16 years later, and it's worth €50,000. So it's an original, still in its box, still with its wrapping on. But hey, the price of those phones, it's not far off the cost of a new phone now. People spend an absolute fortune. I don't know where people get the money. I see them walking around with these iPhones and I'm like, what? All right, so 086 60 25,000, WhatsApps and texts to that number, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. Good morning to Paul, Annie, Margaret and pseudoscientist watching us on our social media. We'll be back with our first guest on the programme after we take a quick break.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Change is happening in Letterkenny, and for the better. Letterkenny Medics is a new private clinic opening soon, offering private healthcare. Dr. Mohammed and Dr. Ripu welcome new patients to the clinic conveniently located on the Port Road. Open 7 days per week from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m, offering full medical consultation and checkups, including a full cardiac screening with echo, assessments of minor injuries, and the facility to complete minor surgeries without the long waiting times. To register, visit letterkennymedics.ie or call 07492 02955. Letterkenny Medics. We listen if you want to talk.
Forward Emphasis International, based in Mallinhead and Belfast, are actively recruiting for customer service advisors and experienced motor claims handlers with both in-office and hybrid opportunities available. Fully funded insurance and financial service qualifications delivering attractive career path opportunities are available. Please visit their website, forwardemphasis.ie, and apply via their careers page.
Go full Lidl for a trolley full of savings. We've got a flippin' delicious meal deal for Pancake Tuesday. Get your classic pancake mix, lemon juice and indulgent hazelnut chocolate spread, all for just €3. And get a sweet 28% off fresh blueberries to pop on top, now just $1.19. Go on, shop without compromise. Go full Lidl today.
Guess what? What? Larkins of New Mills are offering an early bird special for only $6.95 Monday to Friday from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. A full menu is available 7 days per week, along with daily lunch specials. Call in any time to Larkins of New Mills or phone 074 91 266 97 and let our family look after yours.
Okay, now let's welcome onto the programme David Fitzgerald, who's CEO of the Motor Insurers Bureau of Ireland. How are you getting on, David?
Not too bad, Greg. Thanks for having me on.
It's good to have you on the programme. Right, and this news emerged yesterday that 8.3% of all cars on Irish roads did not have insurance coverage last year. How are these figures collated? Are we confident that these aren't cars that aren't parked around the side of the house or sitting in forecourts or something?
We are, Greg. They're shocking figures. It means 1 in 12 vehicles are driving around without insurance and breaking the law. So what we do is we get the database of vehicles from the Department of Transport, those vehicles that are taxed so that appear to be in use, and we compare them to a motor insurance database that our members, the motor insurers, have built. So we're pretty confident that they're accurate figures.
I mean, it really is a figure far higher than I would have guessed. I don't know which looks worse, 8.3% or 1 in every 12 vehicles that you see on the road is uninsured. And there are consequences of that, and we'll get into it. But I mean, do we have any idea where that stands sort of on an international sort of scale?
Very high, Greg. So by way of comparison with our nearest neighbours, that'd be twice the level of uninsured driving that they see in the UK and 4 times the level of uninsured driving that they see in France. So, we're calling for more enforcement on the back of those alarming figures. We have a potential solution. We have built an Irish motor insurance database that contains the insurance details of all motor vehicles in Ireland, and we can derive an uninsured list from that. And we want to get that information to the Gardaí so that the mechanism to do that on a safe legal basis without breaching data protection regulations is set out in the Road Traffic and Roads Bill 2021, which has been slowly working its way through the Oireachtas. So we're calling on the Oireachtas to fast track that bill so we can get that information over to the Gardaí and so they can use it for enforcement with their the devices they have in the Garda cars that will automatically detect uninsured vehicles so we can get them that data.
Yeah, but I'd be curious as to, say, for instance, how many, and I presume, are you talking about inputting this within the vehicle, or are you talking about sort of the number plate recognition cars? Because if it's the latter...
I'm talking about both. So they have... most of the road policing cars now have automatic number plate recognition technology, and they've already rolled this tech out as well to a couple of hundred mobile phones, with plans to roll it out to more to frontline policing. So I think so they can point their mobility devices at vehicles and very quickly establish whether or not the vehicle appears to be uninsured. And likewise with the Garda cars, that happens pretty automatically. So if we can get them this quality data, we think that can make a real difference. This type of strategy has been successful in other jurisdictions, the UK, for example, who have much lower levels of uninsured driving than we have, because it's costing a lot of the money. So we're a not-for-profit, and we compensate their victims, Greg, the victims of uninsured accidents, and we're paying out 70 to 75 million euros per annum to those victims, and we're all paying for that on our policy. So it's 30 to 35 euros goes on to everybody's motor policy in a levy to compensate, the victims of people who choose not to drive uninsured.
I mean, there's a couple of groups of people listening to us this morning. There will be a group that say it's not a bit wonder because of the cost of insurance and people have to do what they have to do to get to and from work and what have you, cost of living and decisions that have made that are driving that up. And then another group who will recognise that it's they that are paying for it, or they've maybe been in a collision with someone without insurance. And of course, then there's going to be a group of people somewhere in between. The reality is though, when you have this level of non-compliance, clearly an awful lot of people know that they're not going to get caught, that you can, duplicate these, that Gardaí aren't routinely putting them into a machine, that they're shining a light or glancing an eye over it. If the green stripe's there and the number plate looks okay, they'll wave you on. The only problem is if you're flagged, if they decide to actually really scrutinise your vehicle. And it's obviously generally known, same as people know that they don't really necessarily have to hand in their licenses if they receive a suspension. There's a lot of information out there as to how you can get around this stuff, seemingly.
Very frustrating. I mean, I don't accept the price issue. Having insurance is the law of the land. We can't pick and choose which laws we follow. It's a law that there's for good reason due to the serious injuries and death, unfortunately, be caused by motor vehicles to third parties. And I suppose one of the reasons why we're calling for this bill, and raising awareness of the level of uninsured driving is, we strongly believe that that the technology is a solution for some of the issues you're raising there, Greg. If people are duplicating insurance certificates, for example, that won't wash with this technology as it's rolled out to the Garda forces. So, if people are thinking they can take a chance on that, those days are numbered, Greg.
And the reality is the Guards don't have to catch 187,000 uninsured drivers. Just 187,000 uninsured drivers have to feel there's a chance they might actually get caught.
Exactly, because the penalties are significant if you're caught, Greg. So the Gardaí will seize your vehicle on the spot. It's an automatic court appearance. It's 5 penalty points and a substantial fine of up to €5,000. So it really isn't worth taking the chance.
There's a lot of stuff out there too about, and it's a small amount of vehicles, but vehicles that maybe have been brought into this country by people fleeing Ukraine or wherever it might be. As far as you're aware, as far as MIBI is concerned, all the same rules of the road apply, they're all equally enforced, or is there any leniency for vehicles that have been brought into the country by people fleeing war or oppression?
Well, there's different solutions being put in place not different, but there's things have been put in place to facilitate, for example, Ukrainian registered vehicles. So there's a system called green cards that can temporarily extend insurance from the Ukraine to allow those drivers to drive legally in this country. After a certain period of time, there'll be an obligation on those drivers to re-register those vehicles to Irish registrations if they plan to stay for the longer term.
Mm-hmm.
But that is something that the Department of Transport have looked closely at, and insurers will be sympathetic. So there's. But there is information.
Yeah, I just want to ask: are you? How do you? Not you specifically, you as an industry, or with your knowledge, how do you ensure that the insurance that's being provided in Ukraine is actually underwritten? That, in other words, in the event of a collision, that there will be
we have reciprocal arrangements with a similar body in Ukraine that will stand over Ukrainian green cards. If there are any Ukrainian drivers listening and they want some more information, if they go to our website, mibi.ie, we have some information up in English and Ukrainian that would assist Ukrainian drivers to ensure that they remain compliant with local regulation.
And finally, what is the block to Gardaí having access to this database so that, if there is a flag, it includes a flag on insurance, if, say, for instance, if a number plate is scanned?
So the Data Protection Commissioner has told us we need a statutory legal basis to safely pass this information to the Gardaí. So that's contained within the Road Traffic and Roads Bill 2021 that's working its way through the Oireachtas. So we're calling the Oireachtas to pass that as quickly as possible, Greg, so that we have a safe basis. We're hoping that will happen soon. And then we can start getting that information over to the Gardaí, and they can start cracking down on this frightening level of uninsured driving.
Yeah. All right. Listen, thanks for your time, David. Really appreciate it. Take care of yourself. David Fitzgerald, CEO of the Motor Insurers Bureau of Ireland, 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number. Some more of your comments here. Greg, when a child turns 18... do they still need godparents, or can they change them as they never bother about them? Well, that's an interesting question. Because godparenting and its importance kind of varies, I think, from family to family. What is a godparent's function after someone turns 18? Hopefully to remember birthdays, but it's more important than that. But why would you change them then? Let us know what you think. This might be an issue that I'm not really aware of. 086 60 25,000. What role does an adult... Well, what role does a godparent potentially have in the life of an adult? What is their actual role for children? I mean, what is the whole notion of it? I seem to remember it was that, God forbid anything happened to your parents, that they would look after you. But that's not really how it works. The courts, I'm not sure, would recognise that, was it? And we were talking yesterday, actually, to Gillian about wills. There was no mention of godparents there. So what is the current function of godparents? My understanding is, as I say, I'm going back in time in my memory, is that, it was to do with religion, and if your parents succumbed, that they would be there to raise you in the religion you were born into. So, A, what's the role in childhood? And B, is there any role after 18? Can you divorce them as an adult? And would you get other ones? I'll read the message again. Greg, when a child turns 18, do they still need godparents, or can they change them as they never bother about them? It's an interesting one. I've never thought about it. We were talking yesterday about hopeful progress in relation to a leisure centre in Buncrana. Our caller says a leisure centre doesn't bring tourism. This new centre will be handed over to a private business which, like other centres, will run at a loss. How does this make any sense? Well, I don't know the ins and outs of the business model for leisure centres, but there are areas much smaller than Buncrana that have access to leisure centres. The whole of Inishowen doesn't have one, and you've got busloads of children going into Derry or into Letterkenny or wherever they might have to go. Maybe there's hotels available in Inishowen that have swimming pools. I don't think so. I think the last time I talked about it, we were being told they would have to go elsewhere. So it needs, even if it runs at a loss, the people of Inishowen deserve a leisure centre. People of the capital, in inverted commas, maybe Buncrana. Jack, you can't get double government funds for pools. Hi, where does my road tax that I pay on my 2 cars go? It goes into general taxation, I can tell you that for a fact. But this Letterkenny resident goes on to say, I recently seen potholes being repeatedly filled with cold tar and flattened with a shovel. Is this a standard road building procedure from the Roads Authority? I think not. So where does my money get spent on, if not the roads? As I say, it goes into just general taxation. Interesting comments from one of the councillors in Letterkenny yesterday. Was it Jerry McMonigal talking about a new machine which can quite quickly and effectively repair potholes? They're hiring it, I believe, but I think the council should have a couple of those. They can react more, quickly to these problems. For defective concrete block home owners, where the owners are elderly, in the event of death or of the second spouse on a mica home, what happens to the mica claim? Does it automatically pass on to the next of kin? That was a question for our wills expert. I'm open to correction on this, and I really should be, because I think I cocked up the roundabout in Letterkenny and on Wednesday, just as the show was going off air, and didn't come back on Thursday and Friday. Shall I go back to that road in Letterkenny, by the way, the road where this is the Tesco roundabout, if you're familiar with it, at the bus station there. Someone was asking, which lane do you go if you're going out the Port Road? What road is that, Caroline? The station road? Over the Pierce Road, and it's the right lane because it states that on the road, okay? So the scenario I was given was if it was a regular roundabout that didn't have any specific designation printed on it. So it's the right lane for going over the road I mentioned there. As it relates to the claim, my understanding was that the claim would pass with the applicant, but as I say, please correct me on that. I don't want to give any misinformation. The books my daughter is doing at school are Romeo and Juliet, and the teacher won't do the bit where they kill themselves. And the other is of Mice and Men, which contains racist language which she won't allow them to use. These are hailed as classics books, yet they won't allow them to be read in the context they were intended. Right, I mean, listen, I wonder, I have dedicated my life to as best as possible to ensuring my children are, able to look after themselves, that they can handle their emotions and stuff, because they've been through quite a bit over the last 9 or 10 years. But I don't think protecting them from words is going to help at all. I just wonder now, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old, a lot of them, not all of them, but my word, they're in for shock, aren't they, when they go to school and go to college and people use certain words, or they have to cook for themselves or manage their own finances. I just be fearful that we are raising a generation of children that will struggle to operate in a very, very tough world, because it is a tough world and it's tougher now. I mean, I'd say to that teacher, read about Romeo and Juliet killing themselves, and then give the children a space to ask a question if they so wish. By not talking about it, it doesn't help. Talk about it, right? And then allow them the opportunity to ask a question if need be. That's education. Use the language in Mice and Men in context. Point out that it's in context. Explain to them why it's offensive now. And I'm not sure if I'm correct with if I'm correct with the book of Mice and Men, you can use that to contextualise a bit of history on it. Educate people. Burying your head in the sand does not really achieve anything. Right. Commentary increase in diesel. It's time that the government were gone. I swear to you, lads, if you think everything's going to change with a change of government, you're in for some shock. But anyway, how come they can find the money to go away for Paddy's Day yet, and all they are putting more cost on the general public? Now, maybe when you put it like that. Commentary learner drivers. There was a law put in place that learner drivers are not permitted to drive on their own, but it's never enforced. What happened if a learner driver travelling alone hits a car? If they're not insured, the third party has no recourse as the learner driver is not insured. Well, that's not quite true. There's been quite a level of enforcement of that. I'll get the stats for you, because I remember reading them a wee while back and I was surprised at how high they are. I'm not ready, Caroline. Look, Caroline's saying, move on, go, go, go. All right, I'll do it now. We'll take a quick break. I'll dig out those stats for later, because I think it's quite a high level of people being I'm not sure your insurance... Okay, I want to be careful not to mislead. I'm not sure your insurance is invalidated if you're driving on your own. That's something we're going to have to get some clarity on.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
60 seconds to plumper skin. Almost 9 out of 10 women say they have dehydrated skin. New generation Hydra Essential from Clarins, formulated for 24-hour hydration. It helps skin naturally boost its hyaluronic power. By day, it hydrates and plumps. At night, replenishes moisture levels. Hydrated skin is radiant skin. Visit your local Clarins stockist for a complimentary skincare consultation and Hydra Essential sample while stocks last. Clarins.
Dunstore's Double Savers gives you lots of ways to shrink your bill. Save in the aisles with perfect pancake toppings like Nutella. Large jars are now only €5. Stock up on soft drinks with 12 packs of 7up Free and Pepsi Max, now €6. And freshen up with laundry essentials like Fairy and Bold 61 pod packs, now only €14 each. Then save again at the till with our 10 off 50 grocery vouchers. Shrink your bill with Double Savers. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on the next grocery shop of €50 or more.
From the smallest shrub to the largest tree in an awkward place, Donnelly Tree Services provide a complete range of tree surgery services. Whether you need to remove a dangerous tree or some nuisance branches, Donnelly Tree Services have the experience and expertise to carry out tree surgery to the highest of professional standards. Call 083 005 9939. Donnelly Tree Services, Donegal. No job is too small, no tree is too tall.
McDade's Bathroom Plumbing and Tile Showroom in Buncrana is your one-stop solution for all your bathroom plumbing and tile needs. We offer a wide range of top-quality plumbing fixtures, tiles and accessories, all at the best possible price. Our experienced plumbing experts will help you choose the right products for your bathroom, renovation, new construction or remodelling project. Visit McDade's Bathroom Plumbing and Tiles in Buncrana and see why we are the best choice for all your bathroom and plumbing and tile needs.
You're welcome back. Okay, we were asked earlier on by a listener, what function do your godparents serve when you hit 18? Because I think one wanted to kind of divorce them and get new ones. But this caller says, I changed one of the godparents for one of my children because they completely ignored them. I never told them, as there's no contact. The person I chose is much nicer and better all-round person who's involved in my child's life. Okay, that's an interesting one. Any more on that? 086 60 25,000. Mary T. Sweeney is a representative for Ain't Do in Donegal. Mary T., good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
It's good to have you back on the show. Right, we're talking about... I mentioned your representative for Ain't Do, didn't I? We're talking about the residential zoned land tax. It's a new tax that was introduced. What's the issue here as far as you see it, Mary T?
I have several major concerns about this, in that this is a new land tax that people in Donegal need to be particularly aware of, because I have communicated and sent out feelers around the county, and a lot of people that I have met, I have never actually met any ordinary householder that is aware of it, and yet it's going to impact an enormous amount of house owners, and it will impact them more seriously in the sense that they have to submit information to their local revenue office if they have more than 1 acre of land around their property. And furthermore, if they have a garden, a horticultural site where they grow potatoes or they grow, that may not be included. So that will actually be subject to this new 3% tax on their land annually, unless they get an exclusion for it.
Now, the aim of this tax was to encourage the use of land for housing. This is one of the government's responses to it. So in other words, you won't sit on it paying tax. You will sort of make it available for development, sell it, maybe develop yourself, I don't know. But how difficult is it to sort of get yourself excluded from this or to appeal it, or do we know anything about that?
Well, you can't, because you've missed the closing date. And what's more than this, Greg, I did send some of the research I've done over the weekend. I've only become aware of this last Thursday, Friday, around that date, that I saw an article in the Irish Times saying that all the big developers in Dublin have put in exemptions for their land. So meaning the people that this was really designed to target, the large developers sitting on large land banks with planning, ready to roll, but they won't build because the price at the moment, the materials have become too expensive. So this is not the way. You cannot put as a Dublin incentive tax to get development around the bigger cities, the bigger areas of population. What they've done is they've applied this to rural Donegal, to 11 towns and villages around Donegal. And I think it's important for people to know it. If I'm allowed, I'll read out the 11, because I don't believe that I've phoned people in Buncrana that have a small 8 or 10 acres, they knew nothing about it in time. Multiple homeowners, if your home has more than 1 acre, you should have registered before the 1st of January 2023. Okay? Now, there's no tax implication if you registered before the 1st of January 2023, but most people did not, that I have spoken to in the Letterkenny area and in the Buncrana area. Further concerns are that I think I'm going to be calling on the government to pause this for Donegal. Some of the other key concerns for me are the small farmers. I've spoken to several small farmers around Letterkenny particularly, and one in Buncrana, and they knew nothing about it. And they thought, but sure, I'm not developing. And I said, yeah, but that's the point. They're trying to, if the council has you on the map, there's a new map, and I implore for people to go onto the Donegal County Council website and type in RZLT, and that stands for Residential Zoned Land Tax. And perhaps if you can put up a link on your show.
But I'm not sure the window has closed because there are 3 stages, isn't there? There's a draft map, supplemental map, and the final map. And the final map won't be completed until the 1st of December. So we have the draft map at the moment. The supplemental map allows people to have a look at it and see where their land is at and what have you. Public notices to announce the publication of the supplemental map must be placed in newspapers by no later than the 1st of May. So there's still a window. If I'm reading the legislation correctly, I'm not reading it. So what's the supplemental map and the final map then? We have the draft map currently?
Yeah, the draft map's the only map that the public are, in my reading of this, and I've had extensive reading of it over the last 3 days. In my reading of this, the only time that you had the opportunity, and the time frame is one of the reasons I want this suspended for Donegal immediately. This was advertised on the 1st of November 2022, Greg. Mm-hmm. And a window of 7 to 8 weeks, less than 8 weeks, was given to the 1st of January 2023 to actually make your submission to this, because there was officially map available in the Donegal County Council offices around the county, or you could have looked it up online. Mm-hmm. That sort of information for public consultation is not wide enough. And people, the general public, are not aware of it. Only developers and builders are aware of that type of information. When you see a zoning land tax, most people don't know what size their garden is. If you have an orchard at the side of your garden, you think it's part of my family home. You may be implicated in all of this and have a tax to pay if you do not become familiar with it. Look it up, and the first thing you must do is, if you are zoned in the red line in the map, then you need to start asking questions. If you're the small farmer, if you have a small site, a site you bought as an investment for your children when they grow up, if it's zoned in the red zone, in the map for your Buncrana, Carndonagh, Killybegs, Donegal Town, there's 11 areas around the county: Dunlow, Donegal Town, Balbafe, Stranorder, Ballyshannon, Bundoran, and I think I've gone Muff, down at Muff. There's several areas around Muff. There's a specific map for those areas. And if your house or land or garden or field that you grow potatoes on every year is in that map, you need to make yourself familiar with this, because it's extremely serious implications.
And it's a lot of money, because 3% of the market value of the land, especially if it's zoned as for development, that's going to be quite a significant levy annually.
All this land in this map is automatically now zoned development by our Donegal County councillors and the council, the local authority itself. And the only chance you had to object to your land or to try and get it rezoned was in that window of opportunity between the 1st of November and the 1st of January, the Christmas period, which is the greatest period of taking your eye off the ball in relation to public notices and events happening because of the Christmas period and people getting ready for family and getting ready for Christmas and what have you. So I have grave concerns that there wasn't an adequate consultation period given, that this is really, in a sense, has missed the target of who was supposed to be.
Well, look, listen. There's a lot of different outlets, and platforms in Donegal, by the way. So I don't want anyone to think that I'm, blowing up this program or the station or anything. But I sit here for 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, and cover a lot of stuff. I don't remember doing any public information piece on this, because we are, we're a significant part of the whole Voice, to sort of let people know what's happening, how they can make a submission, how they can check their lands in advance. There was 132 submissions received, I believe, by the council, but that's only a drop in the ocean. I wonder how much effort was actually made to get all this information out to the public so they could make, submissions where applicable.
Well, one of the greatest concerns I have from a Donegal point of view is that it doesn't seem to be one message fits all. It's very cumbersome and difficult to read the documents. The easiest I would recommend people to read is the one, Your Questions Answered. And it's difficult to find, but if you scroll to the very, very bottom of the page on the Donegal County Council website in small writing, you will see Your Questions Answered in red writing at the bottom. That will give you an initial overview of what this is about. And again, if you don't pay your 3% because you didn't know, and it's your duty to know it, and it's your responsibility to assess it and send your assessment of your land in to the revenue. And this is a three-hand approach. It's local authority who are the mediators, and they really have no say, only providing the maps. It's revenue will be actually dealing with it once you're on that map.
All right, just to back up what you're saying here, making a submission on the draft mapping, which was already done. Written submissions or observations in respect of the draft map may be made to the planning authority in the following ways, blah, 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 blah. The deadline for submission is the 1st of January 2023. Submission should include a name and address, reasons for inclusion or exclusion of lands, because it might be in the advantage of some to have them zoned, rezoned if they choose to sell it, okay? Along with a map at certain scale, where the submission is made by a landowner, clearly identifying the area of land subject of the submission. So, as I say, those submissions had to be in by the 1st of January. Now, the council drafted this map having regard to land being serviced, have access to services like roads, footpaths, public lighting, surface water, wastewater, water supplies. That pulls in an awful lot there. And the land zones must allow for residential development. So the colouring, say it's red, is it? In other words, land that, right? How extensive? I haven't saw this map. How extensive is it? Like, is there a lot of land that's red now, as far as you could see, in going through the maps?
The whole town's red. My great concern is that the houses in Ardonal are on it, the houses in Glenwood Park are on it, New Line Road's on it, College Road's on it, and I'm aware of different case scenarios that are very, very disturbing. An elderly lady living that had a small garden behind their family home. They bought at a later stage, and when the kids were small, they grew vegetables in it. But technically now, it's in the red zone. It is in the circumference of the town in Letterkenny. So because it's in the red zone, it's automatically a residential zone. Mm. That property that was bought as a garden is now a site that could be worth anywhere between 200,000 and 300,000.
We have this situation now, right, whereby landowners, people who are trying to, they gather assets maybe to leave to their family or whatever, or just happen to have it inherited to them, are potentially being penalised to force them for this land to be developed. So the general public are being penalised to make this so. At the same time, we've got developers going into cosy meetings with decision makers looking for breaks to say, oh, well, we'll build some houses, but we need this and we need that and we need these breaks. So the people build the odds. It just feels like another situation where all the odds are stacked against regular Joe or Josephine out there.
Farmer. So
the Egypts, you're taxed into letting your land be used, whilst those that are going to use it are incentivised because they won't build it, and they've got this. The developers, Mary, as you know, they've got this country by the back of the hair. Let's put it like that. Because if they say we're not going to build, you're banjaxed. Government have set out targets that they have to meet, and there's a group of individuals that they need to meet them. So they have all the cards. Yet here we are. If you're lucky enough to have a little bit of land in a certain area, you're being compelled by way of a 3% tax per year on its market value to give up your land.
And if you don't pay it, there are significant supplementary taxes that can come on top of that to such an extent that if you fall behind the overall value of your land by a percentage, then they can seize your land.
Right. Well, if they wanted someone wanted to write a catchy headline, they could call it and probably make a strong argument for it. It's like a developer's land grab.
I don't want to alarm people. I want to specifically reach out to people that have an uncle or an aunt that has a small farm, anything under 10, 15, 20 acres that's sitting around the periphery of Letterkenny, Buncrana, Carndonagh, Bundoran, Kellybegs, Donegal Town, Dunlow, Muff, Balbafe, Stranorlar or Ballyshannon. You people, please, if you're younger or you're older and you're IT literate, go on to the actual website that's very easy to use is the Sligo one. And what I've found from the research, which really disturbs me, is there appears to be differences in the way the information is relayed in different sites.
Okay. Well, listen, I mean, we're going to reach out to the council. I'm not questioning, I'm not doubting what you're saying for a moment, but reach out to the council to see what they have to say on this. As you say, you're not trying to alarm people. There's an awful lot of people this doesn't apply to. If you're in between towns or outside boundaries and what have you, you're talking specifically about those named towns, and it's almost within town boundaries, I presume, Mary T. So this is not covering the whole county, but certain areas. Check out the map, see if it applies to you, and we're going to pursue the council to see what they have to say on this.
I have spoken initially to the IFA as well in relation to the farming, and I know they're going to open up their own concerns as well. And what really concerned me, Greg, if you look at some of the differences in the websites in different county councils, I couldn't believe that there wasn't a general format for layout and procedures for councils around the country. But in some council areas, they have invited an expression of interest for residential zone development land and turnkey project, and they don't have a closing date until the 16th of March, 2023. Why is it different in Donegal? Why is there differences?
I don't know. We'll try and get to the bottom of that, Mary T.
What about the people in the nursing home and their small holdings sitting there? At the moment, they're either temporary in the nursing home and waiting to get out, or they're in long term and the family have been managing the farm for that person. They may not be aware of it. 3% on 100,000 value of one site would be 3,000 per year, and you may not be aware of it. And if it accrued over a number of years, then there's a significant deficit there that most people don't have cash. You might have a small plot of ground, a couple of fields, and especially the smaller farmer, they don't have that type of cash to pay out because your land has now been zoned residential instead of agricultural.
Okie doke. Mary T, thanks for your time. It's interesting information. Have a good day.
Thank you, Greg.
Take care of yourself. Bye-bye. Mary T. Sweeney there, Representative for Aintree, to say she's not looking to alarm people, but I think it's definitely an important topic that we need to get some clarification on. What do you think? Are you affected by this? Maybe you've dug into this yourself. 086 60 25,000, WhatsApps and texts. Did I see a pancake arrive here, Caroline? Who from? Can you tell me? No. Kelly's across the road. Well, there you go. You see, if you don't ask, you don't receive. We have a fully loaded pancake. How long is it till the 10 o'clock news? 7 minutes. Right, okay, thanks to Kelly's across the road. Great group of people over there, of course. We really do appreciate that. It's a lovely gesture. 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts, just to remind you on that stuff we've been talking about. Let me see. I work as a motor recovery claims handler. I would say that I have between 20 to 30 claims that involved uninsured drivers. We never get the money back from them. There you go. Another caller says, I'm so sick of working and barely being able to meet my needs and pay my bills, yet my neighbour next door, who's on benefits, is driving a Jeep and with a family of 2 adults and 4 kids are heading off to Spain in the April break. Someone tell me what I'm doing wrong. Every situation is different. I think I would personally, I'm not dictating to anyone, but I know people who can't work for one reason or another, and they are living, day to day. So I don't think we should group all people in the same, but I get you. You're out there slogging and you feel the people next door aren't and they're doing better than you. A lot of people will share that view. I get that, don't get me wrong, but it's not the same for everyone either. Do you get me? Right, we have to take I have to take a quick break, get the weather forecast.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors, serving Letterkenny and the surrounding areas for over 100 years. Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors. Let our family take care of your family and guide you through a difficult time.
Hear that? That's the sound of you saving. When you drive an electric vehicle, you're helping save our beautiful planet. And you're saving yourself not having to pay ever-increasing fuel prices. Find out more about what you could save at fasterevcharge.com. Save today and tomorrow. This project has been supported by the European Union's Interreg 5A programme.
Keep out the cold, cold, cold! And ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234. Check out the massive warehouse clearance sale now on at Paco Letterkenny. Up to 70% off printed dresses, activewear jackets, comfort leggings, quilted gilets and regatta. Don't miss out on this one-off massive warehouse clearance sale now on at Paco in Letterkenny Retail Park.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Discover Edinburgh this summer with Ryanair's 3 times weekly service. Stunning architecture, endless winding streets and an awe-inspiring castle. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
I'm not going to lie to you, I had a pancake during the break. I actually really did. It's terrible, and I ate it all and swallowed it in 2.5 minutes. The weather this morning and early afternoon will be mostly cloudy with patches of light rain or drizzle. More persistent rain will develop in the late afternoon and evening. Highest temperatures of 10 or 11 degrees with moderate to fresh and gusty southerly winds. But as we told you at the start of the week, it's going to get a little bit cooler as the week wears on. Let me see more of your comments here. Again, another busy morning. Thank you so much. Insurance is very much on the rise since car insurance has went down through the government investigation into price fixing. Commercial premises, church buildings and other organisations which have premises all got a hike in their insurance. Also, my parents, who are both over 70, recently renewed their insurance and both had to get medicals. They need one every 3 years for a licence, but now require one every year for insurance. First time this has happened. That's pretty significant, you know. An awful lot of people listening to this programme and around the county, over 70 years of age, out on the roads all of the time. All of them are going to require a medical every year for their insurance. I think 70 seems a bit tight on that, isn't it? Is that the case? I'm sure it is, as the listener said, but give us more info. 086 60 25,000. We all know uninsured drivers. The last time I called the Gardaí to report it, they were more interested in getting my details than taking his. There needs to be a dedicated reporting line for uninsured drivers. Hi, Greg. Did the fuel allowance get anything? Not that I'm aware of, but that doesn't mean it didn't. I just didn't see it. There. That might be something that would happen heading into the winter later in the year. What about workers keeping the show on the road? Do they receive support with diesel going up in September? I'm not sure. And it's going up in increments up until September as well. Sorry to inform you. Does the working family payment get a bonus? Again, I didn't see that. It's all going to be announced. What's happened is the headlines have been leaked. So I can't say because it wasn't in the leaks that it's not going to happen. And I don't want to mislead anyone. So we're going to have Charlie Weston coming on with us a little later on to go through it all just as soon as the Cabinet sign off on it, because then we're talking about pure facts rather than conjecture. Though an awful lot that's in the papers obviously is accurate, but it doesn't give the full picture. Okie doke, it is time for us to take a break for the news. Stay right where you are. The news and obituary notices are on the way, and we'll be back with more on Tuesday's 9 till noon show afterwards.
At B&Q, get 3 for 2 on coloured emulsion and all paint mixing. So, looking for brands like Dulux, Faro and Ball? Or want to mix your perfect colour? Shop in store or at DIY.ie. You can do it. Exclusions apply. Value of every third item per single transaction in descending price order will be deducted. Ends 27 February. See DIY.ie.
Green Shoes at Market Square, Letterkenny are proud to announce that they're now stocking Riker footwear. Riker blend fashionable styles with incredible comfort, striking the perfect balance between fashion and practicality. All Riker shoes are made using unique anti-stress and anti-shock technology to provide the essential support and comfort the brand is known for. Try any of the new season Riker shoes now at Green Shoes, Market Square, Letterkenny.
Don't just do okay in your career. Do great at Allstate. Don't settle. Soar. Don't procrastinate. Innovate. Don't do mediocre. Do magnificent. At Allstate. Great work. Great life. Great people. Where great opportunities await. Search Allstate NI Careers today.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's Donna Marie Doherty with the news at 10 o'clock. The Finance Minister says families on lower incomes will be supported through the government's cost of living package. Michael McGrath says they will receive targeted support through the working family payment. Subject to Cabinet approval this morning, the package measures will include a €100 child benefit lump sum and €200 social welfare payment. Finance Minister Michael McGrath says they're focused on keeping the costs and prices down.
We absolutely recognise that there will be people who are working, who are on relatively low incomes, who will feel that they too need more help. And I think you will see in the social welfare measures today an attempt to target people who are working on relatively low incomes through the working family payment. And I think you will see we have consciously tried to keep costs and prices down insofar as we possibly can.
Meanwhile, cuts to excise on petrol and diesel are being retained until later in the year, while the 9% reduced rate on VAT on hospitality sector has been extended until August. Minister for Trade, Enterprise and Employment, Simon Coveney, says it will be costly to continue, but the sector continues to face significant challenges.
The government's trying to get the balance right here by, on the one hand, recognising that this was a temporary measure, and at the same time there are continuing challenges in this sector. This isn't a scheme that doesn't have a significant amount of cost. You know, this is in the hundreds of millions of euros. But look, the government will have a discussion on that, and you know, as you'd expect, my job is to give the perspective from an enterprise perspective to make sure that we can protect businesses in the months ahead.
A cross-party delegation of Donegal councillors are travelling to Dublin this morning to join a public protest outside Leinster House demanding equality for defective block home owners. The MICA Action Group says 20 councillors have responded to the call to send a strong message to government that the ongoing delays in providing proper redress are unacceptable. Citizen and victim groups need to be consulted in advance of the establishment of the Omagh bomb inquiry. That's the view of former US President Bill Clinton, who was speaking on a new podcast, As I Remember It, Bertie Ahern and the Good Friday Agreement, which launches on Thursday. Earlier this month, the UK government announced the establishment of a statutory inquiry into the atrocities in 1998, which resulted in the deaths of 29 people. Bill Clinton says any new inquiry should not be unilateral and reflect just what the British want done.
I think there'll be mass firing squads. Nobody thinks about that. But, you know, the trials that have occurred since Omagh, some of them have been vacated because of the appellate courts found errors in the way the trial was conducted. One of them fell apart because the principal witness changed his testimony. These things have happened.
A 34-year-old man arrested in Derry at the weekend has been released. The man had been questioned in relation to attempted hijacking in the Hollymount Park area of the city at approximately 9:35 on Friday night, and the subsequent discovery of a suspicious device in the Karate area on Saturday. The PSNI have reviewed their appeal for help and are particularly keen to hear from anyone who may have captured dashcam footage or any other footage. 3 other men arrested, aged 54, 32 and 29, have already been released. At least 6 people have died and 600 more injured after a 6.4 magnitude earthquake struck southern Turkey. It came just weeks after a deadly quake devastated the region, killing more than 40,000 people. The extent of the latest damage is not yet known, but witnesses have reported feeling the latest earthquake in Syria, Lebanon and Egypt. Concerns, Kieran McConville, who's in southern Turkey, says it's a very worrying situation.
A good long time after the first quakes, there had been some indication that, the lack of aftershocks in the particular area that was hit tonight was an indicator that perhaps there may be the potential for another earthquake.
And now for weather. This morning and early afternoon will be mostly cloudy with patches of light rain or drizzle. More persistent rain will develop in the late afternoon and evening. Highest temperatures of 10 or 11 degrees with moderate to fresh and gusterly south winds. That's all for now. We'll be back with more headlines at 11 o'clock.
The obituary notices for this Tuesday morning, the 21st of February. The death has taken place of Seamus Sweeney, Letterfad Terman. Removal from Eternal Light Chapel of Rest, Carnamugga, Letterkenny, tomorrow at 12 noon, going to St Columb Kills Church, Glendone, arriving at 1 o'clock to repose overnight. Funeral Mass on Thursday morning at 11 with cremation arrangements to be confirmed. The funeral mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. The death has taken place of Ivan Potts, Mahara Callahan, Castlefin, reposing at his home. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 11:20 for Requiem Mass in St Columba's Church, Dunnyloop at 12 noon. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family time please from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has occurred of Donald de Barra, Middletown, Derry Beg. His remains will repose at his home from 11 o'clock this morning. Rosary nightly at 8 o'clock with house private after the rosary until 11. Funeral Mass in St Mary's Chapel, Derry Beg on Thursday morning at 11 with interment afterwards in Maharagadon Cemetery. The funeral mass can be viewed live on Kieran Rorty Funeral Director's Facebook page. The death has taken place of Margaretta Elizabeth Etta Hayes, formerly of Lisnoble, Rafo. Funeral from her daughter Pamela and son-in-law Stanley Patterson's home at Clonarl, Killygordon this afternoon at 1 o'clock for 2 o'clock funeral service in St Eunan's Cathedral, Rafo, followed by burial in the family plot in the adjoining graveyard. House private please before the funeral today. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to St Eunan's Cathedral Church, care of any family member or Terence McClintock, Funeral Director. The funeral service can be viewed live on Craig's Media Facebook page. The death has taken place of Patrick Logie McGee, Lunya Beg, Derry Beg. Funeral Mass this morning at 11 in St Mary's Chapel, Derry Beg, with interment afterwards in Maharagallen Cemetery. The funeral mass can be viewed live on Kieran Rorty Funeral Director's Facebook page. And the death has taken place of Dennis Doherty, Crora Culdaff. Funeral mass this morning at 11 in St Mary's Church, Buchan Culdaff, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. Mass can be viewed live on the parish website. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Happy news from Aldi. We've topped the leaderboard at the National Parenting Product Awards with 22 wins, making us the most awarded retailer. There were golds for our organic Mamia baby food range, Mamia Ultra Dry Junior Plus nappies size 5 plus, and Mamia Premium Newborn Mini size 2 nappies voted the nation's best nappies by parents in Ireland. So, Mum and Dad, not using Mamia nappies yet? Whew, could be time for a change. Aldi, every day amazing.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
And you're very welcome back to the programme. Good to have you on board for another hour. Welcome if you've just tuned in. Later on, we'll be chatting to Charlie Weston, going through the changes, not the changes, but the soon-to-be-announced officially government package to deal with the cost of living situation, the crisis that we are living in. So stay tuned for that. My daughter is a full-time teacher working locally. She is in a constant fight to get planning permission to build on our own land. She had to redraw the house plans 3 times. This morning, she said, enough of this, Dad. Forget about the planning. We're just going to look at moving to Australia. This is the entire problem in Donegal. Now, that is particularly to me very worrying. I don't like that. And maybe it's the fear that one of my boys would come and say that to me. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Maybe that's selfish as well, some of you might feel. But a daughter here, full-time working as a teacher, which is a very important job. And because of her battles to get planning permission, she's thinking of just upping sticks and moving to Australia. That's not good. That is not good. That's not spreading your wings to see the world, to return home. That's being forced out of your own country. Hi, Greg. If I go into the bank and say I identify as a millionaire, will they let me withdraw that money? No. And I understand what you're saying. I'm not making jokes about that stuff because it's really, really important to some people, even if it's not to others, but there's no point taking a hand at them, I suppose. But anyway, look at that's your comment. Caller says, I feel that this is Roald Dahl's books. I'm not a big reader, okay, so I don't know the ins and outs, but a number of the books are being rewritten or have been rewritten. Now, they're not replacing the old books. Whether they do or not over time, I don't know. But offensive phrases like black is a word that's even in a context that got nothing to do with race. Fat, describing as someone working in a shop, has been replaced by a business, working as a business owner, that kind of stuff. This listener says, I feel that rewriting literature for any other purpose other than translation is wrong. A work of literature should reflect its own time and place. As PC as I have always endeavoured to be, lefty 80s kid here, and always will be, things are getting ridiculous. The works reflected the morals and attitudes of the time. Editing for the sake of fear of causing offence is ridiculous. The context of the writing and the mores of the time determine the meaning. Just leave them alone. They are of their time and children should read them as they are. They can compare historical writing with contemporary writing. The PC is going too far. Awful, absolutely awful. Can we not read a book now without adapting it beforehand? Our children are going to become more and more confused. You see, what? Another thing that's so ridiculous about this whole world we're living in here, and I'm not saying anyone should be cancelled, but have a listen to what listeners are listening. Have a listen to what children listen to musically at the moment. You know, have a listen to the latest song from Sam Smith or Nicki Minaj. I couldn't read the lyrics. Do you know what? I might open up a modern song that's very popular on Spotify at the moment that all the children are listening to, and I might just sort of have a read through it. I'm not sure if I could read it out loud. We're at the moment, everyone's listening to all manner of stuff on TV, whatever's going on in Love Island. You know, the stuff that goes on in Love Island, and all that's fine. But a book from the 60s has to have certain words changed because it might offend some people. Do you get me? There's something in there that doesn't make a lot of sense. But I'm always open to be convinced otherwise. So if you have any views on that, regardless of what they are, 086 60 25,000. Where will this politically correctness stop? Will they have to go back and water down Shakespeare's work like Hamlet, World Just Gone Mad from Rosaline? Another, I cannot believe a single being would be delighted to hear Bertie Ahern's making a comeback. Are they living in La La Land? To welcome him back to power, beggars believe he has no power. He's back in their party. He's not looking to go back to elected politics. I'm not defending the person, by the way. I'm just making sure we have the conversation in the right context. Hi there. I was just wondering if Highland Radio know if people on illness benefit qualify for the €200 bonus. Let me try and get to the bottom of that for you when we get the actual literature from the government. Businesses have sent letters regarding commercial rates and given 40 days to appeal. Surely the process should be the same to notify. On to godparents. Godparents are two people chosen by parents of a baby being baptised to promise in front of the officiating priest that in the event of the parents, through any reason, neglecting to raise the child in the Catholic religion, that they will take on the task. Okay, that's what I thought it was. It has no legal standing and it's not enforceable. It is no more than an honorary title. As many godparents nowadays are not practicing Catholics themselves, their only function, as far as I can see, is another source of presence at birthdays, etc. Now, I get what you're saying about practicing, right? But it doesn't, because you're not practicing your religion, it doesn't make you a bad person, and it doesn't mean you don't live your life with the guidance of that religion. So really, effectively, you can't divorce your grandparents at 18. I thought it was really interesting, that caller earlier on saying that they changed out a godparent. If someone approached you and says, look, Greg's 2.5 now, but he hasn't seen his godparent for 2.5 years. Would you become a godparent now? What would you say? Would you be honoured and go, yeah, no problem? Or would you go, wow, second choice? I don't know. What do you think? I know this is not the most important thing out there, by the way, but look, we have to have a bit of light and shade too. Caller says, I agree about godparents. We chose one of my husband's best friends to be the male godparent, and from the day of the christening, he never said his name. Either how was he? Could he help out by babysitting or give him a thing for his birthday or Christmas? When it came to his confirmation, I just asked his uncle to do it and cut him out. My suggestion to parents would be choose your godparents more wisely. Okay, and I think, though, that kind of depends on your family group as to how important godparents are in a person's life. Goodness knows what the world's coming to. I haven't to ask about godparents. Why would you want to change godparents? It's ridiculous. Because it's relative, and to that person today, it's important to them. They might feel they're abandoned or left by their godparents. I know where you're coming from. It's with everything that's going on, it's not. But look, we all have our own little worries as well, because there's very serious things happening. You know, in real life, it is the little things, the little personal things that bother us. You know, we can come to terms with major national events and they sort of just become part of life. But the little things that niggle at you, the little things that bother you, the things that go round and round in your head, to the individual, incredibly, incredibly important. And I want this to also be a space where people feel that they can express those and maybe seek a little help from other listeners. One of the worst aspects of parental alienation is when the custodial parent erases the father out of their child's life by changing their surname or by making their new partner their child's legal guardian. Believe it or not, this does happen, and of course it does happen. It can't quite happen in reverse in terms of changing names, though the name can be changed casually in reverse, if not officially. But look, it's a very, very tough situation when parents of young children particularly, I think, separate. Especially if there's acrimony there. Maybe they're leaving for another partner on either side of the relationship. And the children are there in the middle. And they're the thing that get you. They're the thing that pull at the heartstrings. They're the thing you can't get over. So I get you. And I can only imagine how tough that is. Right, back with more after these.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday the 21st of February. You're playing on the brown sheet. The reference number is S17. It's game number 8. The numbers are 26, 24, 60, 27, 43, 41, 33, 12, 70, and finally 62. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Discover your dream Donegal wedding by choosing Jackson's or Villa Rose Hotel for your wedding day, exuding elegance, quality and a wealth of experience in executing the perfect wedding reception. Jackson's or Villa Rose is the venue for you. Get in touch to arrange a private wedding viewing appointment with a member of our dedicated wedding team today. Visit villarose.ie or jacksonshotel.ie for more information, or find us on Facebook and Instagram.
Change is happening in Letterkenny, and for the better. Letterkenny Medics is a new private clinic opening soon, offering private healthcare. Dr. Mohammed and Dr. Ripu welcome new patients to the clinic, conveniently located on the Port Road. Open 7 days per week from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m, offering full medical consultation and checkups, including a full cardiac screening with echo, assessments of minor injuries, and the facility to complete minor surgeries without the long waiting times. To register, visit letterkennymedics.ie or call 07492 02955. Letterkenny Medics. We listen if you want to talk.
Do you have a stoma? Coloplast Ireland's free stoma review clinic comes to the Radisson Blue Hotel in Letterkenny on Tuesday the 28th of February. Registered stoma nurse Eileen Lim-June will review your stoma, access your requirements and offer any training or ongoing support you may require. For more information or to register for an appointment, call Coloplast on 019 190 190.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Do you need to switch your current account or loan? We are now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features and competitive rate switcher loans. Information slot. The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, protecting what you value most. Call today and get your zero-wire alarm system from €299. Sheridan Security, 91-26025.
OK, it is Tuesday, the 21st of February 2023, and it's time for Community Garda information with Garda Grania Doherty. How are you getting on, Grania?
I'm doing the best.
It's good to have you in with us. Thanks so much for joining us. Right, OK, I want to talk a little bit about the weekend, but we'll do that at the end if that's all right.
100%,
it sounds like it was a great bit of fun and what have you. But we'll start with the appeals. And Gardaí looking for the help, public's help in relation to a public order incident in Letterkenny.
Yeah, this incident happened on Wednesday the 15th there of February, just up in the Glencara area at approximately 1:20 p.m. So Gardaí received a report that there was a fight in progress at that location, that a number of men were involved. Gardaí patrolled the area, but unfortunately there was no sign of the men in question. A short while afterwards, a video of what is believed to have been the fight in question started to circulate online and on WhatsApp and what have you. So we're eager, firstly, to speak with the person who initially recorded the incident. And we asked them to make contact with us and not to be afraid to do so, to come in. They can speak to us in confidence. You know, they can do so in a confidential manner. We also wish to speak to anybody who witnessed this incident, who was in the area and who may have captured it on their dash cam footage, to make contact with us in Letterkenny on 9167100. And as always, for all our incidents, the Garda Confidential line can be contacted on 1800 666 111.
Okie doke. Now, criminal damage in Letterkenny.
This incident happened at Ardlonan on the Long Lane, Letterkenny, between Wednesday the 14th at 6 p.m. and then 7 a.m. on Thursday the 15th. So a car was parked up at a homeowner's house at that location, and they discovered that the top of the driver's door was bent open between those hours. So entry wasn't gained to the car. If anybody observed any suspicious activity in that area, the Ardlonan or the Long Lane area, between those dates, we asked them to make contact with us in Letterkenny on 07491 67100.
Not nice to have happened, but also, even though nothing taken, an expensive problem to fix. So you want to get those responsible for that. Staying in Letterkenny, and we're going to the Port Road criminal damage case there.
Yeah, this is quite an unusual one, actually. This happened on the Port Road. So the lower Port Road, down near the station roundabout. So it happened in the early hours of Thursday the 15th, in and around 2:10 a.m. So a car was parked up on the lower Port Road. A male, he's been described as a male in dark clothing. He was wearing a black jacket and black jeans and white high top trainers. He approached the car, he smashed the rear driver's side window, and then he left on foot in the direction of the station roundabout or the Ramelton Road. So somebody was actually in the car at the time of the incident, and thankfully they weren't hurt. We appeal to anybody who was in that area who may have witnessed what happened to contact us, but also, again, as with nearly every appeal now, we appeal also for dashcam footage from anybody who travelled in the area of the station roundabout or the Lower Port Road on the 15th of February between 2am and 2:30am. And actually a lot of taxi drivers park along there too, that car park, just across from the station roundabout, and a lot of those drivers would have dashcam footage. So if that's the case, if they were there, they had a dashcam, we would ask them to leave the footage into the station to us.
Yeah, and just to clarify a couple of things in relation to that, as we do regularly, but because it's become such an important part of the item, is that you're not necessarily looking for the moment the person smashed the window. You've got a good description of him, you might get or her, but I presume to him, you might get a good shot of his face or whatever. So it's in and around that space. And also, you don't need the person to download the image, to cut out the relevant piece, to scan it themselves and forward it on. You have people that do that.
Exactly, and as you say, we could get a good image of this person's face. Perhaps they had a car parked up. We might get the registration number of the car from dashcam footage. And as you say, also a lot of people too, maybe they're not aware of how to go through the footage in the dashcam. Yeah. So no, it's not an issue. Drop it into us, and we'll spend the time then going through the footage. So Letterkenny Gardaí are dealing with this matter, and again 9167100 is the number to call. Right,
let's go to Buncrana now. An alleged assault Gardaí are investigating.
Yeah, this assault happened on the Dr. Dennis McLaughlin Road in Buncrana on Sunday the 19th, in and around 1:25 p.m. So a man is believed to have been assaulted by another man at that location, and injuries were sustained, but they're not life-threatening in nature, thankfully. So we appeal to anybody who travelled in that area who had a dash cam again to make the footage available to us, or if anybody seen what happened, if they witnessed this incident, we asked them to contact Gardaí in Buncrana on 932 0540. And you know, it was lunchtime on a Sunday, so hopefully...
Unusual, isn't it, the middle of the day, you know, thankfully, but you don't see this happen too often.
It's not a regular occurrence, no, but given the time of day and a Sunday, you know, perhaps there were families out and about for the day, you know, and people out for a spin, and hopefully somebody saw something, and if they did, we would ask them to come forward to speak
maybe
to us.
on the way to go and watch the game somewhere or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, now, theft in Bonagee. What's going on here?
Yeah, this happened in Bonagee. So Sunday the 19th at Bonagee, Letterkenny. So in and around 10:20 p.m, a blue coloured Fiat was driven down the road there alongside the Dry Arch filling station. You know, the road down. There's quite a number of businesses then on that road. So this blue Fiat travelled down that road. The driver proceeded to steal 4 Volkswagen alloy wheels from the back off a business premises. So we appeal to anybody who had a dash cam again, who was in and around that area, the area off the Dry Arch filling station perhaps, or down the road itself, and who may even have, you know, observed this car, to come forward and speak to us in Letterkenny on 9167100.
All right, that's 10:20 on Sunday night. Right, now, sheep theft in St Johnstone.
Yeah, this is 24 sheep. So 5 of the sheep were female, they were black in colour, and 19 male. They were stolen from a farm at Ballybow, St Johnstone, so between 5 p.m. on Wednesday the 15th and 11 a.m. on Friday the 17th of February. So 12 of the sheep we know had a red marking sprayed on their back, and 4 of them had a blue marking sprayed on their back. We're unsure at present whether the other 8 sheep had markings or not. So if anybody has any information in relation to the current whereabouts of these sheep, we ask them to contact Gardaí in Letterkenny on 9167100, or if anybody has any relevant information in relation to the theft, we'd like to speak to them too.
It may or may not happen overnight, and that presents 2 scenarios. One, obviously there isn't necessarily as much traffic, but 2, if someone did spot this type of activity, it probably looks a little bit out of place in the middle of the night. If they did see it. So the quietness potentially could have happened 5:05, but let's just say it did happen overnight. That might actually help in jogging someone's memory out there and getting in touch with the Gardaí. It's a significant amount of sheep to lose. Right, okay. Now, kayaks, which are an expensive enough all thing, stolen from Letterkenny Ward.
They are, yeah, and this was actually, it happened between January 1st and February 11th. It was only just recently brought to our attention. So, yeah, the theft of 2 kayaks. These had been stored in a trailer at a holiday home in the Farragans area of Letterkenny Ward. So they're believed to have been stolen between January 1st and February 11th. So both of these kayaks are red in colour. The first is a 6-metre Perception Carolina, and the other is a 5-metre Perception Acadia. So, look, people who deal with these type of boats and perhaps might know a bit more about them than me, if they hear anything, if they hear any word in the street, or hear even of some of these types of kayaks for sale on a second-hand basis, could be innocent, but we would appreciate hearing from them if they come across them for sale. A photo of a similar type of kayak will be posted to our Facebook page this morning. And we ask if anybody has any relevant information that might help progress this matter to contact Gardaí in Milford on 9153060.
Yeah, and the owners are looking at a minimum of 1,200 out of pocket.
Of course, they're expensive items,
Yep. Plus someone coming around your house and taking your stuff. And as you say, they're quite distinctive and might be handy enough spotted on the secondary market, the second-hand market. Okay. Any information on all of those, you can contact any Garda station, of course, and they will help you, or that confidential line. And the information will get to the relevant Gardaí, but of course if you can ring the station directly, all the better. Okay, the community engagement meetings are ongoing. Milford and Buncrana next, is it?
Yeah, actually we had ours in Letterkenny already, and
like?
they were a great success, I have to say. Now, it was great, and it gives people an opportunity just to converse. Some people might not even, back years ago, everybody knew their local guard. They knew them by their first name. They knew.
I'm afraid of them all now. I just avoid them.
Maybe it's just me you're afraid of.
I'm very afraid of you.
No,
Sean,
but
it's very scary. He comes in. Don't let him. Scary.
He gives you the look.
Charlene. Oh. Paul, don't get me started.
Terrified
don't
you are.
Don't get him started.
No, don't get him started. No, it'll be a long day. So no. But the Letterkenny events, it gave you a chance to get to know the community. You know, beforehand, maybe you were waiting for a while for the meeting to start. You got to chat to people from the community, get to know them, ask their names. They got to know your name. They got their chance just to voice their opinions. The policing plan is discussed at all these meetings, the policing plan for 2023, but people had a chance to maybe discuss other issues that are going on in their area that they wanted their voice heard in relation
And
to.
I think it's worth pointing out too, and I'm not expecting you to comment on this, right? But, you know, this is a meeting with your local Gardaí, and you might turn up with concerns that the Gardaí themselves share. Exactly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In that...
Yeah.
There's decisions, different ways of doing things that maybe different people might want to do, but you're compelled to do things a certain way. So in other words, it's not always a them and us, is it? Because I think there's a kind of a, you know, there'll be a lot of nodding between guards and the public, because a lot of the stuff we're on the same page on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and of course, look, we welcome the feedback of the public, and as you say, it could be a common issue, maybe it's something that we're concerned about, that they're also concerned about, but they come up with fresh ideas, maybe ideas that we haven't come up with before in order to resolve these matters. So, no, I know Milford Gardaí actually had one of these community engagement meetings last night, and Buncrana also had one last night, but there's a few more coming up. Just wanted to draw everybody's attention to them. So the Milford District Gardaí will hold another community engagement meeting in the Falcara PCC tomorrow evening, Wednesday the 22nd. That starts at 7:30pm. Buncrana Gardaí will hold a community engagement meeting tomorrow evening also at 7pm at the Greencastle Centre. And I know Buncrana Gardaí have a further meeting that's due to take place on Tuesday the 28th of February at 7pm in the Colgan Hall in Carndonagh. So everybody's welcome, look, more than welcome. Refreshments are served as well at these meetings.
And face-to-face information on the likes of cybercrime, internet safety, home security, frauds, you know, stuff that goes on all the time that can't always be mentioned during this item, or we'd be here for quite some time. So that's just general information. So, as I say, an opportunity to get that in-person info as well. Right, okay, community engagement meetings just mentioned. The Garda Youth Awards 2023, can't believe we're back launching these again.
It's hard to believe it.
But you know what? Every year, don't they throw amazing stories of amazing people? And particularly our young people, because I hope regular listeners to the programme understand that I think we've got amazing young people. I think the absolute majority are brilliant, but the little errors at times get more press than perhaps
they do, and that's the nature.
But this is a good thing, because this is all about highlighting the youth and what they've done.
Yeah, definitely. And as you say, we always we're more likely to hear about the negative things that young people get involved in, and you know, the negative side to that. So we're delighted. Look, it's been launched today, the Garda Youth Awards for 2023. This is again this year in association with the JPC, so the Donegal Joint Policing Committee. So these awards celebrate outstanding young people between the ages of 13 and 21 years old from throughout the county of Donegal. So we recognise young people. Look, they've been involved in good and positive endeavours locally, and the Youth Awards just recognise young people who, by their presence in their communities, make it a better place to live in. So the nomination process is now open. We are inviting the public to nominate a young person and or a group of young people they know who was committed to making a difference in their community, so last year, during the year of 2022. And all nominees will receive recognition. You know, even they don't win an overall award, they will all receive recognition in the coming weeks.
So what that means is if you don't mind, Grania, so if there's someone, a neighbour of yours who's a great young fella, great young girl, and you nominate them, even if they don't go on, they will receive a recognition to say you've been nominated. So in other words, anyone nominated gets recognition of that, and it's a lovely wee lift. That in of itself will be enough for me, I think, to encourage me to nominate people around me.
Of course, and look, it's nice to receive recognition. We all like receiving recognition.
I know exactly what you mean. I wish they do radio
recognition,
radio presenters recognition awards that you didn't have to pay to enter. That's why I don't win any awards, you see.
Well, there's no charge to enter this now, but I think you're outside the age bracket.
Might try one of these things. But let's see. What's the upper age?
21,
Balls.
Greg. So they all receive a certificate, and then look, it's nice to have that certificate too, maybe for the future, you know, to use it, you know, in CVs and what have you, and it's good to see that it's good to be nominated is a great thing in itself.
And the shortlist was amazing last year, what young people do. And then Josh, of course, he went on, and no pressure on this year's nominees, he went on and received recognition at a national level as well, which is it's a brilliant thing for him, his family, the community and the county, I think.
It is. Josh Marley, and we also had Alan McCarran and Cormac Brady. They won the Community Safety Award last year in the national level. But every year, so far, so good, fingers crossed, we've had great success at national level. So the pressure's on again this year. We want to keep up the momentum now, and we hope to have more national winners this year. But
right,
look,
what categories do we have then?
Yeah, so the same as every other year, it's the same. It's individual award. So this is to somebody who makes a positive contribution to their community, making it a better place to live. Group award, 2 or more young people who make a positive contribution to their community, again making it a better place to live. Special achievement award. So this would be given to somebody who has overcome difficult circumstances, defied all the odds, and whose commitment deserves recognition. And 4th is Community Safety Awards. So young people who, through a crime prevention or safety initiative innovation, have made their community a safer place to live.
And some of the suggestions are amazing. Some of the things they come up with, they can do it individually or through the schools. Sometimes there's some brilliant stuff. Who calls the shots here? Who decides who wins?
Yeah, so the judging committee, this year's adjudicators are Judge Etchen Cunningham. She will chair the committee, and Inspector Paul McGee. This will be his first year now getting involved with the Youth Awards, and I know he's looking forward to getting stuck in. And Councillor Jerry McMonigal also.
All right. Garda.ie, is it?
Garda.ie, yeah. You can get the forms at Garda, www.garda.ie. The County Council, now their Facebook page and their website also, given the JPC's involvement, they always have the forms, the link to download the forms there also. Look, you can call to your Garda station, you can call to Buncrana, Letterkenny, Milford, or Ballyshannon. I nearly forgot the 4th station. No, Letterkenny, Buncrana, Ballyshannon, or Milford.
It's Sligo at this stage, the way they're doing everything with boundaries and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you get confused.
The
easy
station
to get
itself,
confused.
I'm not getting drawn into the new policing plan, but you know what I mean, okay?
But you can call into any of those stations and look, they can download the form for you. So you send the form back, then you can email it to Donegal Garda Youth Awards at garda.ie. You can post it to Letterkenny Station and just leave it maybe for my attention, Garda Grania Doherty. Just stick that on the envelope that is for my attention. So the nomination should be received by 12 p.m. on Monday, the 27th of March, to be considered.
If I put Sergeant Grania Doherty, would it get to you? Just in case I made that mistake.
It'd give me an air of importance anyway. It would be if you want to do that, yeah.
You were freezing for a reason at the weekend out in Rathmullen.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, at some point asking, was the water cold? Was it good fun?
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
It was great crack now, I have to say. And you know, it's funny, somebody gave me a great tip the day before, which I didn't do, but I'll remember it now when the next one comes around. But they said that you're meant to go in first and dip your feet in the water, just to paddle in the water for a minute or two before you do the plunge.
It's cheating, that is.
To be honest with you now, I know it's called a polar plunge, but mine was more of a polar plop, because again, I seen some of them there, and they were, they tucked the legs under them and they took off on their way. It was so impressive, and I kind of stand as close as I can to the shore, and it's more like a plop. But I still got wet and I still got freezing cold, but it was great crack.
And you raised a load of money, as did your colleagues and everyone else taking part, for, as we heard last week, for a brilliant cause that helps thousands and thousands of people in contributing to that. So well done.
Thank you.
And it doesn't matter about the weather either. You're jumping into cold waters. But I was there a previous one, as you know. The atmosphere was as good, was it?
The atmosphere, brilliant atmosphere again, and the Navy vessel was there again this year, and that added to the whole, the pizzazz of the whole thing. But no, definitely, and look, it's you'd be delighted just to do your small bit. And the athletes of the Special Olympics, they're an inspiration. They are inspirational, and they have such courage. So I mean, really and truly, when you're standing there ready to jump, you have to keep that at the forefront of your mind. The courage these people have, it'll be over in a few seconds, and no, a great day out.
Great stuff. Well done, Grania, for all you do in promoting that and taking part and raising hundreds of euros. Well, as everyone who got involved in that, it sounds like it was great fun. Okay, thank you very much, Garda Grania Doherty. That was Community Garda information for this Tuesday, the 21st of February 2023. We're back just after the 10 o'clock news next week. We'll return on the programme today after a quick break.
The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, protecting what you value most. Call today and get your zero-wire alarm system from €299. Sheridan Security, 91-26025. Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
If you ask me, the minimum wage needs looking at.
If you ask me, a gender pay gap still exists. Important questions need to be asked about work and pay. That's why the Central Statistics Office is asking you and a sample of employees all over Ireland to take part in our Structure of Earnings survey. With your help, we'll inform debate and crucial decisions. The CSO is independent and the survey is confidential. Your data won't be shared. So if you receive a letter from the CSO, take part in the Structure of Earnings survey and have your say.
At Hickey, Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers, they compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price. Home, motor and van, farm, holiday home, travel and liability insurance, they quote them all. So if the worst happens, you're covered. For a competitive insurance quote today, call Hickey, Clark and Langan on 9126688 or pop into their office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey, Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey, Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Are you tired of waiting for treatment or surgery? Did you know you can receive immediate treatment across the border under the new NI planned healthcare scheme at potentially no cost? Donegal patients are still being treated with us at Kingsbridge Private Hospital Northwest post-Brexit. The process is easy and our dedicated team will help guide you through it. So why wait? Contact us today to find out how you can skip the waiting lists and receive treatment in Northern Ireland. Visit kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com, because life matters.
Nutrius Milk Replacer range, which includes NutriStart and NutriStart Plus, offers the best start for your calves this spring season. With 23% and 25% crude proteins, ideal for calf to beef and heifer rearing systems. Give your calves the best possible start. Available at your local Homeland store. Visit nutrius.ie for full nutritional information.
OK, well, welcomed on the programme now, I'm delighted to say, by Charlie Weston, who's Irish Independent Personal Finances Editor. Thanks for your time this morning, Charlie. We do appreciate it.
You're welcome. No problem.
Right, so we got quite a strong indication in your paper today of what is in store. Government meeting currently, is that correct, to finalise this? And do you expect any changes from what's been reported today, or any additional measures for that matter?
No, it looks like, the proposal going to government is for all social welfare recipients to get a €200 bonus payment. It's about a €1.25 billion package. It's like a mini budget, really. The payment will be made to pensioners, carers, lone parents and people with disabilities. There's also going to be a €100 bonus for every child on the child benefit scheme, or child allowance, some people still call it. Back to school clothing and footwear allowance, there'll be an extra €100 on that. Now that's the good news. The bad news is there's doesn't seem to be any new credit at the moment for your electricity bill. We're due another one in March next month, but there was expectations that there might be another one to get us through the next couple of months.
And Charlie, in relation to that, would they be sort of looking at maybe heading into the spring? I know it's a sort of a retrospective payment, but would they be factoring in the fact that maybe people are under less pressure, or maybe in the coming months there might be some reduction in the cost of electricity? Or are they looking at the numbers and saying at this time we can't afford that? I do wonder what would be the factors that would bring them to that decision.
I think there's a number of things that, you mentioned the cost, and that's a factor. It's probably about €400 million to give another, €200 credit to your electricity bill. But, mild weather probably has played a part. It's been relatively mild up to now. I turned off my heating yesterday when it came on because it was too hot. I work from home at the moment. And the other thing, I suppose, is that we have seen the first of the cuts. Pinergy, although a very small player, they have kind of put it up to the rest of the market by cutting their prices. We hope that Electric Ireland, Bord Gáis, Energia and SSE Electricity, the big four, that they'll respond with some cuts because they're benefiting from a fall in wholesale prices.
But is it not the case, though, that Pinergy are coming back to the field somewhat, because they really are still, even with their cuts, they're more expensive than a lot of the big players already? I'm not sure how much pressure the likes of SSE Electricity might feel from Pinergy's move.
No, but it's the fact that wholesale prices are way back. I mean, if I get a tweet once a day from somebody telling me wholesale prices are down, why aren't the energy companies cutting their prices? As if I run an energy company, I don't. But so it's a reasonable argument, and that's the reason that Pinergy gave. They said, look, at wholesale prices are back to the pre-Ukrainian invasion levels, so they're at a 17-month low. Now, they're still high relative to where they were before COVID started, but at least they've come right back. You know, the energy companies will say, look, we're locked into long-term contracts. We bought gas, which is used for half of the generation of electricity in the country, and obviously it's used to supply gas into homes. They say, look, we bought wholesale gas at these with these futures contracts. We're locked into long-term pricing. It'll take a while for those to unravel. You know, that certainly is the case, but some of those would be unravelling. You know, that there is an opportunity here for companies to cut prices. So the hope, I suppose, is that we'll start to see some reductions. What we've heard from Electric Ireland, the biggest player in the market, certainly for electricity supply, is that they will forgo any profits on their retail business this year. They're giving their customers €50 back. SSE Electricity has said they'll forgo profits as well. We haven't heard that from Bord Gáis, which is owned by the British company Centrica, which reported profits of, wait for it, £3.3 billion.
They were down a bit though, weren't they?
They were tripled, actually. They had tripled in my information. They had tripled to 3.3 billion.
Okay, yeah.
Now they're saying that they're losing money on the Bord Gáis retail side is losing money, even though they're making money on their power generation. They have a massive power plant down in Whitegate. But you know, so the hope is that the wholesale price thing will mean that we will see in the next couple of months some relief for people, because energy prices have gone through the blinking roof. They've doubled. The electricity prices doubled to about $2,000 for a typical household. That's an enormous price increase.
And a lot of people were living week to week, not able to absorb that. And the bad news keeps coming in terms of the excise on petrol and diesel. And the funny thing about this is, Charlie, chatting to a few people, I think the move by government kind of went over some people's heads, in that this is probably going to feel like just a straight up increase in the cost of petrol and diesel rather than a return to previous levels, if I've explained that correctly.
No, you have. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There was a cut last year of 15 cents on the litre of diesel and 20 cents in petrol, but they're going to phase it in. It was due to that was put in place till the end of this month, and they're going to phase that back now, in those increases. And look at. Is there any justification for that, considering that there are so many levies and so much tax and levies on your litre of fuel, motor fuel? You know, your diesel and petrol they're subject to carbon tax, excise duty, the NORA levy, you know, the National Oil Reserves Agency levy, and VAT at 23%. So, you know, these were small reductions in the context of that. About 49% of the litre of petrol goes in duties and taxes to the government, 44% of your litre of diesel, according to AA Ireland. So, you know, this will drive people insane, particularly your listeners who are car dependent. There aren't major public transport options. So this seems terribly, terribly unfair, given that the government has slapped about 3 different levies and taxes on petrol and diesel and takes enough off them, bleeds the motorist dry already. So, you know, they could have left that in place, those reductions in the excise duty. So, yeah, I think once that's absorbed by people, they'll be very annoyed by that and think it's totally unjustified to reintroduce those that higher excise duty in a phased basis.
Yeah, the temporary business energy support scheme is being retained. A lot of businesses I spoke to thought it was too difficult to get into or to qualify, or too much of a handling. They've seemed to have recognised that it's being broadened out somewhat. Is it going to be easier for businesses to qualify and apply, I wonder, Charlie?
It should be. It certainly should be, because, you know, you heard businesses saying they needed to get their accountant to do it. Now, it shouldn't be, and that's just adding a cost. It shouldn't take that. These things should be fairly plain. You should be able to just say, look, here are my bills. My energy prices for my business have gone through the roof. Here's the proof. You know, I need some help here. There is a scheme. You know, I shouldn't need an accountant spending hours and hours filling out forms and putting a thing together. So there is some recognition on that it hasn't been very well designed. We've come up with a lot of things in the last while, like PUP and PUP, for example, in the last couple of years. But this temporary business energy support scheme, just looks like it was just too complicated. Sometimes, you know, bureaucrats outdo themselves by putting complications in. It's to avoid being ripped off, the exchequer being ripped off. Of course, that's important, but it shouldn't be so complicated that businesses can't apply for it.
Now, I'm getting specific questions in here in terms of things like, will people on illness benefit qualify for the bonus? Do we know an answer to that question yet? Because obviously we get the headlines leaked, but maybe not every element of it. Would you be able to answer that question, Charlie?
I don't know the full details on that.
Understood.
We'll have to see. There'll be a big, long piece of Excel probably program issued with all the different rate increases. I don't know exactly what's going up, but it certainly Heather Humphreys, the Social Protection Minister, has been looking for across the board increases for pensioners, carers, lone parents, people with disabilities. That's the list of people I have at the moment who are to benefit.
I didn't, and I knew it was too little to ask you about specifics, but I thought I'd put the question to you, and I fully understand the answer. And it seems relatively cheap to keep the hospitality industry, and I presume hairdressers and others, happy in extending the 9% VAT to the end of the tourism season, though the season goes beyond the date. 300 million in terms of supporting those businesses, keeping people connected to their work, keep people in jobs. Or maybe 300 million's a lot of money. I don't know anymore with the amount of money that's been falling out of the money tree, Charlie. So I haven't a clue. But it seems hard, like good value.
If the predictions were correct and it wasn't just lobbying and exaggeration, this is needed to avoid restaurants in particular going into, haven't been forced to close down. I mean, they were saying that if they didn't have this, large numbers of them would be forced to shut. We're coming out of the after the Christmas period, it's always quiet for restaurants in particular. So, I think Michael McGrath has listened, obviously, to what he's been told by the likes of the Restaurants Association, that this was needed to be kept in place. As somebody who works for a newspaper, I can't complain too much. The VAT on newspapers went to zero in January, so we benefited from that. We have very high VAT rates in this country, so I always have sympathy for arguments to keep them lower. 23%, the standard rate is very high, high by international standards, and it means that there's a huge cost then for people and for businesses involved in that. So it looks like extending that 9% VAT exemption looks like a bit of business to keep people on side and to keep businesses running, basically.
All right, Charlie. Listen, thanks for your time this morning. Appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks.
Charlie Western, Irish Independent Personal Finance Editor. The government's ministers deciding or cabinet meeting to sign off on that, and we'll get more details as it relates to your specific questions for the show tomorrow. So fear not, we'll get those answers if you can't source them yourself between now and then.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Century Complex is now serving pizza in our new and improved Bidas Corner bar. We have a wide range of delicious pizza options available. Call us on 074 9121976 to book your table. And don't forget, Century Cinemas is located just across the car park. Check out centurycinemas.ie for movie times and tickets.
Do you have a stoma? Coloplast Ireland's free stoma review clinic comes to the Radisson Blue Hotel in Letterkenny on Tuesday the 28th of February. Registered stoma nurse Eileen Lim-June will review your stoma, access your requirements and offer any training or ongoing support you may require. For more information or to register for an appointment, call Coloplast on 019 190 190.
Imagine a device so innovative you're... Accept cookies? There is a device so forward-thinking you... accept cookies? A device that is so modern you... accept cookies? Now imagine a technology where cookies don't get in the way of your advertising. Welcome to radio. Advertising that's cookie-free. Visit radiocenterireland.ie to see what radio can do for your product or brand.
Keep your car or van running smoothly with a service at Hegarty's Ford in Letterkenny. Not only will it minimise the risk of a major repair expense, but it will be logged in your vehicle's service handbook and help its resale value. Hegarty's also offer everything from new and pre-owned car sales to parts and body repairs in their approved body shop. Book a service online this month and save €30 when you use the code FORD30. You're always in good hands at Hegarty's Ford, Carnamugga, Letterkenny. See Hegartys.com.
Highland Ireland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Fancy a European city break this summer? Discover the beautiful cities of Barcelona, Cologne and Milan with Ryanair. 6 flights a week for summer 2023. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
Okay, as usual, I don't have the weather forecast open in front of me, but I shall open it. Just whilst I do that, to remind you to keep us busy on those lines, 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000, or call 07491 25,000. So, morning and early afternoon will be mostly cloudy with patches of light rain and drizzle. More persistent rain will develop in the late afternoon and evening. Highest temperatures of 10 or 11 degrees with moderate to fresh and gusty southerly winds. Right, Deputy Mark McSharry joins us now. Thanks for taking the call today.
Good morning.
Right, okay. Now, you've made your submission to the Electoral Commission ahead of expected electoral boundary changes. What are you proposing, Mark?
Well, in line with my own commitments going back to the election in 2011 when they started to slice off parts of counties, I have been lobbying for the reunification of counties. And while, of course, it's a privilege to represent the people of South Donegal and indeed parts of any county, the fair way to do it is to respect county boundaries.
I'll miss you, but I want back in Donegal, Mark. No harm to you. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And that's exactly what I tried to do in the last review and again in this one. So we call for 2 3-seat constituencies in Donegal, which would leave it at about 27,700 or thereabouts per TD in terms of population, which is within the thresholds allowable under the Constitution. Also Sligo and Leitrim to stay together as they kind of have traditionally been. That would allow for a 4-seater there. And then the other part of the constituency within with us is Roscommon, and again before they had been in with Longford, so all of Roscommon and all of Longford together, also to form a 4-seater. That way we won't have this kind of patchwork constituency where it's as if the Electoral Commission leave us till last and they try and make it work by slicing pieces of counties up.
Yeah, and it doesn't make a lot of sense on a number of levels, because you'll have councillors in Bundoran and Ballyshannon who obviously sit in the council in Lifford, and then you'll have that same area that they represent being represented by someone from South Sligo. I presume from a party perspective of independence in terms of trying to get a platform and develop a career, that's not very helpful. But we have this strange thing in splitting up counties for media reasons and political reasons, and there's not a great deal of rhyme or reason to it.
No, I'm totally opposed to it, and I've set out how it can be achieved, and I'm very hopeful that on this occasion they will honour, number one, the wishes of the people, and ensure that county boundaries are maintained. The Constitution states that no less than 20,000 per TD, a member of the Dáil, and no more than 30,000. And what I have proposed totally respects those guidelines. One of the issues that has emerged with electoral reviews through the years is they've tried to ensure that the variance from constituency to constituency stays within around about 5%, so that everybody has in or around 25 to 27,000. And there is nothing in law that demands that. It's just a practice that they have adopted. Now, obviously we have an exponentially growing urban conurbation on the eastern seaboard, and if they continue with that practice, in 20 or 30 or 40 years, you'll end up with about 150 TDs on the eastern seaboard, around to Cork, and very little representation on the western seaboard.
And let me ask you one more time. What's your proposal for Donegal? 2 constituencies. What's your proposal?
2 3-seat
so 6 TDs. Okay, interesting.
And that comes in at about 27,700 of population per TD.
Right, okay, we shall see. I do wonder, what do you think the public would think, the people of Ballyshannon and Bundoran think? Do you think they feel more connected to Sligo town than they might Letterkenny or Inishowen?
Look, not at all. As I said, it's a privilege to represent that area. Mm-hmm. But the people of Donegal, whether it's on the border at Tullahan on the southern side, or whether it's Mullinasole, they want to be with Donegal. And one of the unwieldy parts of the constituency as it is from a TD's perspective, you're dealing with 4 county councils, 4 planning authorities, 2 community health organisation areas, 2 police divisions. And if you take the representation in Dublin North Central, for example, where geographically it's a minuscule area, one of the key issues is in our area there's a very diverse number and type of issues that you're following up for people, from the very rural to the urban and so on, and all the variety of issues that need to be dealt with within that. Whereas a smaller constituency in Dublin might have one set of issues.
Yeah, and there's always a line, but like I'm in one constituency and my next door neighbours, like next door, are in a different constituency. I know there's always going to be a line where it changes, but it seems crazy. Mark, listen, thanks for your time this morning. I appreciate it. We'll watch with interest to see what comes from that. Take care.
Wet n Wild is celebrating 20 years in business with a massive 20% off absolutely every product in store in February. Choose any top outdoor brand product in store and we will deduct 20% of all prices at the till. Buy premium quality outdoor clothing, footwear and equipment today and save 20%.
Final call for entry to the .ie Digital Town Awards, celebrating the digital achievements of towns and communities across Ireland with a €100,000 prize fund. Enter by March 3rd at weare.ie.
Keep your car or van running smoothly with a service at Hegarty's Ford in Letterkenny. Not only will it minimise the risk of a major repair expense, but it will be logged in your vehicle's service handbook and help its resale value. Hegarty's also offer everything from new and pre-owned car sales to parts and body repairs in their approved body shop. Book a service online this month and save €30 when you use the code FORD30. You're always in good hands at Hegarty's Ford, Carnamugga, Letterkenny. See hegartys.com.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127. The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
And it is 11 o'clock, in fact, just 50 seconds past it. Time for a news update. It's over to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. The Finance Minister says families on lower incomes will be supported through the government's cost of living package. Michael McGrath says they'll receive targeted support through the working family payment. Subject to Cabinet approval this morning, the package of measures will include a €100 child benefit lump sum and a €200 social welfare payment. Appeals for information are being made into 2 incidents of violence in the county over the past week. The first involved a group of men fighting on the Glencar Road in Letterkenny, while a man's been allegedly assaulted in Buncrana. Meanwhile, Gardaí and Letterkenny are investigating 3 incidents involving cars over the past 6 days. 2 of them involved criminal damage, one while there was still a person in the car. The other involved the theft of 4 alloy wheels from a business premises. A cross-party delegation of Donegal councillors is in Dublin this morning to join a public protest outside Leinster House demanding equality for defective block homeowners. The Micah Action Group says around 20 councillors have responded to the call to send a strong message to government. Gardaí are investigating the theft of 24 sheep, 5 female and black in colour and 19 male, taken from a farm at Ballabo St Johnson sometime between 5 on Wednesday last and 11 on Friday morning. 12 of the sheep have a red marking sprayed on their heads, 4 have blue sprayed on their back. Citizens and victims groups need to be consulted in advance of the establishment of the Omagh bomb inquiry. That's the view of former US President Bill Clinton, who was speaking on a new podcast, As I Remember It, Bertie Ahern and the Good Friday Agreement. It launches on Thursday. And Ireland will continue to provide non-lethal support to the people of Ukraine, and training personnel is just one way we can help. That's according to the Taoiseach and Defence Minister Micheál Martin, who confirmed today that Irish soldiers will assist in an EU training mission for Ukraine. They're the headlines. Back with more at 12 noon.
OK, Donald, thank you very much indeed.
The groundbreaking series is back March 1st, exclusively on Disney+.
You have removed your helmet. You are a Mandalorian no more.
I'm going to Mandalore.
There's nothing left.
All right, kid, you ready for an adventure?
May the Force be with you!
Don't miss
This is the way.
The Mandalorian Season 3. Streaming March 1st, exclusively on Disney+. 18+ subscription required. T's and C's apply.
All right. Do you remember I said earlier on in the programme about comparing sort of the popular lyrics of songs that our young people are listening to? Not all of them, of course. But I can't because some of them are really grotesque. But here's one, which was number one for quite some time, still top of the streaming charts. B-I-T-C-H, I'm a monster, no good blood sucker. Fat MF, now look who's in trouble. Everyone knows I'm a MFing monster. I need to see your effing hands at the concert. I can't read the rest. Profit, N-word, I got it. Everybody know I'm an MFer monster. And on it goes. Now, I am not a prude, right? Because I'm a big fan of R&B hip-hop music. And going back over the years, so I kind of listen to stuff with that and its lyrics just for absolute transparency. But to try and exclude the word fat from a book when you have that type of stuff, MFN word and all that kind of stuff, I don't know, it doesn't make any sense to me. Greg, for kids, 3 of which have auntie and uncle as godparents, few speak, few don't. So when having our 4th, we decided we'd look outside the family. Best decision we made. They are so good to our child. Takes her away days, spends a lot of time with her, shows her so much love. There you go. Godparents are recorded on baptismal certification. There's no form, to the best of my knowledge, on which to officially change those names. As I said, it's of no relevance, of course, but it might be of relevance to the individual that messaged us. And I get you. I get what you're saying. Totally agree. This PC is going overboard. It all started with Baa Black Sheep. Now the latest version of Scooby-Doo features Thelma and Shaggy as black ops, African-American cartoon characters. RIP my childhood memories, indeed. And if you watch Cocomelon, it's Baa Blue Sheep, Baa Pink Sheep, Baa every coloured sheep. Hi, Greg. If we change everything, we'll have no history. It's good to look back and see where we've come from, how we've changed, hopefully for the good, questionable at times. Also, remember this year, some radios weren't going to play an old Christmas song because of the words. Was it Baby It's Cold Outside? Yes, it was. Madness, Just Thought, thanks, Lorna. Yeah, and that was a perfect example of... But the problem is you see, people get up to Heido on social media or on Twitter. They threaten companies that they'll go to advertisers, and then companies sort of, give in because they choose the path of least resistance. Baby It's Cold Outside, I don't see any domestic violence in that. I mean, it's 2 people back and forwarding. I don't think that's how it was intended. And you have to take it out of context to be offended. That's the impression I get. But as I say, you can talk about we live in this world whereby you can talk about, say, for instance, the Fairy Tale of New York and one word in that, right? But you can't talk about an entire genre of music that is, treats women like absolute dirt, terrible language, racial slurs. No one can kind of talk about that, but let's talk about Fairy Tale from New York every year. I think most common sense people understand that it doesn't make sense. If we're going to do it, let's do it across the board and have a full conversation about books, film, music, TV, cherry picking it here and there. I don't know. Okay, right. We're going to give you some tips on the pancakes now. Changing tack completely. Sean Boyle's a baker at Gap Cafe in Bridgend. Sean, how are you getting on?
Great. How are you?
Are you dishing out the pancakes today?
We are.
Going down a storm, a treat?
Yep. Plenty of people picking them up.
Okay, so we're just looking for, because we can sort out the toppings, give us the perfect, no mistakes pancake recipe for us, please, Sean.
Well, the easiest recipe would be around 225 grams of self-raising flour, 75 grams of caster sugar, 1 egg and 300 millilitres of buttermilk, and just mix that through with a hand whisk. And that's your best. That's your easiest recipe. And
what way, in terms of the pan, what do we need to be doing with it? I mean, the pan, do we want it roasting hot, medium heat? What is the best way?
Medium heat, and rub your butter on, but not too much.
On the pan, obviously.
Rub your butter on, and that greases up the pan for you.
Right.
It'll not stick then,
And when do you turn it? Do you wait for the bubbles on top? Is there an optimum time to flip the pancake?
Yeah. If you're confident enough to work by the bubbles, once the bubbles are even across the top, then it's time to turn it. But if you're not so confident, about 2 minutes.
And does your mixture allow for you to dollop it and make the smaller pancakes, or are you looking at a full pan pancake with that recipe?
You can do it whatever way you want. If you keep your mix thick, you can mix smaller pancakes that are deeper.
Yeah.
And then if you put more milk in, if you want a thinner pancake, just put more milk in.
Have you a preference?
And that'll allow you to fill the pan out,
Yeah, have you a preference, Sean?
Oh, I prefer the thin ones, but we're selling today the thick ones.
Yeah, the crepey type ones. And then down to toppings.
Yeah.
I mean, it's whatever you like yourself. Would you be a honey or a chocolate fan?
We are putting them out today. Strawberry with a fruit compote.
Lovely.
Icing sugar and maple syrup. And then we're putting out a savoury one as well with bacon and maple syrup.
Get in.
I like the savoury. I'd go for the
go
bacon,
on. Bacon,
and maple syrup.
and pancake. Oh, my word. What else? Is that it? That's enough. We don't need to ruin it.
Oh, yeah, there's loads of stuff that you can put on top of pancakes. But then the old-fashioned way is good as well, just lemon and sugar.
Yeah, I can't get past the bacon and maple syrup though. But yeah, lemon and sugar. That's what we were. That's what we were raised on. And
that's the old way. So the old way is good.
My mum had one of those squeezy yellow things for the lemon, and I'd say it's probably,
you need to use fresh lemon.
Yeah, but I would say this wasn't even fresh. Unfresh lemon. The thing was in the cupboard for 20 years. It only came out in not March 17th.
We were all the same.
Huh?
It lasted years and we were all the same.
Probably poisoned us, but anyway, we got through it. Right, okay, Sean, that's what we'll keep it simple. Some great suggestions there. All right, good man, Sean. I'll let you back to it. Busy at the baker, as baker at the Gap shop. So what is it? Chocolate, honey, savoury. I would go, although I had two of the pancakes we got from Kelly's across the road, both delicious. But I think I could probably go and kind of treat it as lunch, bacon, maple syrup. How long does it take to get to Bridgend from here? Anyway, all right, okay, it sounds fantastic. Well done, Sean. Let us know if you have any tips, what you're putting on them. Also, how do you what time of the day do you have them anyway? It's no big deal, but you can't make them after dinner, can you? Everyone's stuffed. Or what we used to do as well, I'm not going to lie to you here because I just don't think it's advantageous in being anything other than obvious. I seem to recall it ended up being dinner on Pancake Tuesday because there was no space for anything else afterwards. Right. Caller says he was away for a week and turned off the electricity at the mains. When he checked the meter when he got back, it had used €13 with no power going into the house. Now, if you are on pay-as-you-go, caller, there's a daily charge regardless of what you do. There's also standing charges and other bills. Do you know what I mean? There's much more in our electricity bill than the use of electricity. So if you've pay-as-you-go meter, you switch everything off and go on holidays for 4 weeks. When you come back, your credit will have gone down because there are charges that are applied whether you use electricity or not. Most filling stations put the price up to take it down, so the savings were never passed on to the motorists. Well, we did a bit of research in relation to that. There was a couple of stations that there was a peak in prices, but then they did roll them back. Now, I'm not talking the whole county, the whole country, but there were a couple of stations that they did go up and then they come back. Some stations got petrol and diesel delivered at the same time. Now, let's not forget there was a massive rise in prices generally at that time. Some people, and I think we all have a better understanding now of when these stations get their fuel delivered because you do see the variance in the price. But this caller says the filling stations were slow to bring the prices down because they said they'd already bought it in stock. So will they be slow to bring the price up based on having old stock? That's one to keep an eye on. Now, it depends. I don't know if they play the excise at the point of sale or on what they sell. Now, if it's on what they sell, which I suspect it is, the price will go up straight away. If it's when they buy in their stock, if that's when they pay it, then it'll go up, you would hope, when they run out of the old stock. There's drivers and stuff that deliver petrol and diesel that listen to the show and text in now and again with that kind of information. It's good to get it out there, and I think it's good for petrol stations that the public know what's going on so they can not feel things are being done unfairly. If the government keeps paying out money to cover electricity bills, and I'm very thankful for it, electricity outlets will never reduce their bills. Again, though, there's much more scrutiny on these people. I feel like they get away with a lot, but I just feel that we're more educated now and we're not letting people away with stuff that maybe we just let wash over us in the past. Am I right or wrong? Text, let me know. Pin Energy put up their prices 6 weeks ago by 18%. Easy for them to bring it down by 7%. As I say, I haven't put much weight. It was a front page news story yesterday. I haven't put much weight into that. The maps about the rezoning of land and whether or not you could be tax liable on it. Donegal.maps.org.gis.com. We're going to link that on our socials, all right, if you can't find it. 20 councillors supported micro-action group. That means 17 are not. Shame on them. They're named and shamed on... if they're shamed. Some of them have legitimate reasons for not going. There's some from all parties aren't going. I don't know. I'm not here to defend them or to enhance them either. If you go to the Micro Action Group page, there's a poster there that shows who's there and who's not. And it's not up for me to try and dictate or to call out or what have you. It's up to the group who organised it and the electorate to make their decision at the end of the day. Obviously, we'll ask, and I have asked those that have been on the show whether or not they're going and why not. But in terms of me naming and shaming them, I'm not sure. The Micro Action Group have the poster up. When is the €20 being paid? Thanks, we don't know. Oh, sorry, the €200. We simply don't know. That'll all be announced. You see, this is the problem with the leaks, you see. We don't have all the info. We just have some of it. I want to mention, Caroline, am I doing this on my own, this community hero thing, yeah? Sean's going to come down because I want to do a last push on it. It's tomorrow. And I'll talk about this with Sean, but there's no panic on Sean if he's listening upstairs. We could do it before 12. We've had amazing responses from people, great members of our community, but there might be some that are only tuned in today. Some of you in the community, I'm sure, who might want to nominate someone. I'd love to see it. I'm not in the judging panel. I'd love to see someone who needs a car or who does a lot of travelling to get a car. Maybe you know them as well. I don't know who's entered, and I'm not involved in the judging. I'm not involved in it. It's not me, Caroline. No, I'm not. I'm involved in judging it. Am I? Right, I shouldn't. Okay, but that's fine. I'll play it down the middle. Don't worry about that. Okay, so we'll talk to Sean about that. Can I wish, please, Ava McCool in Ballybofey a 10th birthday? I think this come in before 9 and Ava's at school now. So if you want to go on to the, if you want Ava to hear it, you can get Ivan to play it later or something as well. Or maybe get the request played while Ava's in the car on the way back from school, unless she's in the bus. But anyway, it'll be played back on our podcast on the website. But anyway, in case Ava's off today, happy 10th birthday from Granny and Grandad, and say hello to Caitlin and Davin. All right, and hello, Granny and Grandad. Hopefully you're still listening and the wee ones away at school, you can relax. Although, do you not find when the young ones, you know, you'd pull your hair out with them sometimes, but they're gone 5 minutes and you miss them straight away again. You can't wait for them to come back. Glendone National School are off to Cork today for the All-Ireland Vex competition. Not quite sure what that is. But anyway, all the very best from all the parents. So Glendone National School off to Cork. That's a long haul, isn't it? Well done, anyway, for getting to the All-Ireland Vex competition. Best of luck. And if one of you can let us know how they get on later on or tomorrow, we can announce that as well. But it's great to be involved all the way down in County Cork. Best of luck, as I said there, from all the parents.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Euro Millions jackpot is a guaranteed €17 million. Play responsibly, in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
In the final clearance at Watson Menswear Letterkenny, there's half-price shirts, polo shirts and knitwear. Also, half-price offers on top labels like Superdry and Penguin. Selected suits and footwear, also half-price. Don't miss out on big savings in the final clearance sale at Watson Menswear, Main Street, Letterkenny, and online at watsonmenswear.com. Also, a great selection of First Communion and Confirmation wear now in stock.
Attention all pet lovers and owners. Gary's Pet World Letterkenny is open 7 days per week, offering the very best value on all pet foods, accessories, grooming and care products. Call in and let our staff help you spoil your pet today. You will be amazed by the range of product for all pets, with exceptional value on all leading brands. Alternatively, you can browse and buy online at petworld.ie and we will deliver to your home. At Cooney's Home Interiors, we pride ourselves on offering you the very best in choice, quality and value on all home furnishings. Treat your home with a visit to Cooney's today and choose from our large range of suites, tables, beds, not to mention our large selection of home accessories. Our motto is, if you see it, you can buy it, and we will deliver it to your door. Cooney's Home Interiors, Letterkenny Retail Park. Style and perfection at incredible value.
Don't sleep in and miss the very latest beds and mattress offers from dfibeds.ie, Ireland's leading online bed and mattress retailer. You'll get a comfy Irish-made mattress, upholstered base and headboard from an amazing €229. Check out the full range at dfibeds.ie. Delivery free and guaranteed to you within 7 working days. DFI Beds. Sleep well, live well.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union. Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
Right, OK. There have been calls for reform of the access to women to a drug that treats nausea, headaches and severe vomiting in pregnancy. Caraban, which many of you out there will be familiar with, is the first line of treatment for hyperemesis gravidarum, HG anyway, I'll go with. But campaigners say access is limited due to the high costs, which can be over $3,000 over the course of a pregnancy. Dr. Kieran Alfari joins us on the programme now, and he's all in favour, I think, of resolving this situation. Kieran, good morning to you. I mean, this is a game changer for pregnant women, isn't it? This drug.
Caravan, it's the most.
Go ahead, Kieran. Sorry,
Hi, Greg. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Kieran. Yes, it's a very important drug.
Yeah, it is. It's the first line treatment now for women with nausea and vomiting in pregnancy, and it's one of the most extensively studied medication out there in pregnancy with regard to safety, and it can be life-changing for women who are having those problems in pregnancy, and can keep them well and can keep them at home and can keep them out of hospital.
Now, this is not prescribed willy-nilly because there is an element of sickness for a lot of women when they are pregnant, but this avoids, pregnant mothers getting run down, getting dehydrated, stress and anxiety that could, complicate the pregnancy. It's a no-brainer as to why, when needed, there should be easy access to this drug for the mother, but also for the unborn.
Nausea and vomiting in pregnancy, which is typically in the early stages of pregnancy, can be quite severe and can have a significant impact on the pregnancy and ends up putting a lot of women into hospital with that because of the difficulties that comes from it.
What is the current situation now as it relates to a woman getting access to it?
Since January, Caravan is now available on prescription in Ireland with the cost covered for pregnant women. However, the issue is that prescription has to be prescribed by a consultant obstetrician. And I suppose, to me, that just makes no sense and creates a significant barrier to women because hyperemesis gravidarum in itself usually occurs in women before 10 weeks of pregnancy. And in that case, most women will not have been to see a consultant obstetrician yet. If you're going to see a consultant obstetrician, that will either be in a scheduled clinic visit or you have to be admitted to hospital. So most of the Caravan that's out there, I presume, is being prescribed by GPs, and in that instance, women aren't getting reimbursed and have to cover the cost of it themselves, whether they have a medical card or not.
And these costs are significant, aren't they? Yeah. Do you have an idea how much a month's worth of Caravan might be, Kieran?
So a box of Caravan is 24 tablets, and an approximate price for that is €35.
Wow.
And women will take at least 4 tablets per day. So it's a very significant cost when you add that up over a couple of weeks or longer in pregnancy.
Now, you mentioned that sickness is not uncommon in pregnancy, but we're talking, I think, about extreme sickness here. Does it ease as the pregnancy wears on? In other words, routinely, does a woman take Caravan for a month or two, or do they tend to have to take it if they need that particular drug for the entirety of the pregnancy?
Yes, but for most women, hyperemesis, it doesn't persist throughout the pregnancy, and it is for a period, usually in the early stages of pregnancy, up till about mid-pregnancy.
Okay. What I'm hearing today from the likes of yourself, Kieran, and other health professionals, these aren't just people like me with an opinion. You are a GP. You're at the coalface. You see this. And also, we're hearing from the pharmacy sector as well about some things that they could do to ease pressure on the hospitals and better outcome for patients. There's a lot of solutions being put forward by the likes of, yourself, other GPs, and those in the pharmacy sector. If they were listened to, better outcomes for patients and less pressure on hospitals.
In pregnancy, we operate a combined antenatal care, which means care for a pregnant woman is shared between her general practitioner and her hospital midwives and consultants. And, it's great that they've provided these medication now free of charge for women, but the reality is that most women won't be able to get access to it because of the way that the system is developed. And to me, it seems like somebody who doesn't understand how women access care created this. If hyperemesis is most likely to occur in the early stages of pregnancy, and you're restricting something that GPs prescribe anyway to having to be prescribed by a hospital consultant, it's only creating a barrier, and it's saying that we're giving access, but in reality that's in name only. Okay, so if there is going to be resistance to these calls, in other words, someone might say, no, listen, it's important that the consultant does this. Where would that resistance be coming from? What might the motivation be to not heed the calls from the likes of yourself, Kieran? In your experience, in your view, who would be resisting such a move? Most of why there's been this barrier is because it's not licensed as a medicine, it's licensed as a food product, and so that obviously the HSE says that creates an issue. However, I don't see why a consultant has to prescribe that, and I'm not sure exactly where that resistance is. We've heard many consultants come out and say that they don't feel that there's an issue with it being prescribed by GPs either. And again, you would have to wonder whether clinical people are being involved in these decisions or whether it's being done by administrators who don't understand how the system works. Okay, excellent. Okay, thank you very much indeed. Dr. Kieran O'Farry there. He says that the anomaly needs to be corrected. He prescribed Caravan. He can do it. He prescribed it for his patients, as he mentioned. It avoided them having to go to hospital, but she has to pay for it. Why? He asked, should the prescription need to be from a consultant, as an outlined very clearly for us there. The reasons why it shouldn't be the case. 086 60 25,000. A caller says, every situation different. Yes, it's difficult to understand how stay-at-home parents get camps free during school holidays. Then when we working parents want to use the camps as childcare, it costs a fortune. Surely this should be the other way around. Full respect to all parents. Not easy for anyone in these times. I think working parents are forgotten, and a lot of people feel that. And, it's about actually remembering working parents. I would just be a fan of, us focusing on, the people that make these decisions and saying this is unfair, rather than maybe focusing on those that are in receipt of it, because that's us fighting amongst ourselves while the decision makers get off scot-free. But listen, I understand where the frustrations come from. Caller says the rezoning map of Glenties looks like people's gardens have been rezoned. Were these maps prepared by humans or merely a computer program picking out blank spaces on the maps? I must have a look. I look forward to having a look. Where exactly are these maps? Cannot find one with Letterkenny in red. It's just, if you search I don't have it here in front of me. I'll get it for you. We're going to link it. I think we're linking it on our social. Go onto our Highland Radio News and Sport Facebook page. We'll link it there for you. Because it's a URL that I can't just read out, because it's / ?T. and all this kind of stuff. Morning, Greg. Another property tax. Why have we not heard our councillors talking about this? That tax is probably to pay off DJ Carey's debt. Well, that's gone now, but yeah. Can you give out the website Mary T. Sweeney was talking about to check if land is in a zoned area, please, and thank you again. I presume we're doing that as a story on the website. It'll be there, and we'll certainly put a link on the Highland Radio News and Sport Facebook page. We'll work on that over the next few minutes if it's not already there.
Stop Highland Radio are going to Scotland from Monday the 1st of May to Thursday the 4th of May with the very best of music, and we would love for you to join us. Staying at the 4-star Crown Plaza Hotel in Glasgow, we are bringing with us some of the biggest country stars, including myself, David James, Declan Ernie and Robert Mazzell, to name a few. You will enjoy luxury travel to Glasgow, 3 nights dinner, bed and breakfast with music and entertainment each evening. Join us on the Highland Fling to Glasgow this May for only €575 per person. To book, call Highland Radio today on 074 91 25,000. Early booking is advisable. Single supplement applies.
Check out these special offers at Simpson's Supermarket, Glencar, Letterkenny. There's Walker's Cheese and Onion 12-pack, €1.50. Iron Brew 8-pack cans, €2.50. Chicago Town takeaway pizzas, €4.50. Rooster 10kg potatoes, €4.50. And there's Odlum's pancake mix, only €1. While there, check out Peggy's Kitchen Cafe for great food, tea and coffee. Only 2 minutes from Letterkenny Hospital. Simpson's Supermarket, Glencar, Letterkenny. Great value every day.
Transform your home with a visit to McGinley's Furniture, Letterkenny, located at the Portlink Business Park just off the Port Road. You'll find a huge selection of top-quality suites, beds and mattresses, also slide robes and custom-made dining and occasional furniture, with prices to suit every budget. See the great choice for yourself at our showroom, McGinley's Furniture, Portlink Business Park, Port Road, Letterkenny. Click mcginleysfurniture.com.
Donegal County Council is inviting applications for funding under the Regional Festivals and Participative Events Programme 2023. The closing date is March 16th. Programme guidelines and an application form can be accessed on the Donegal County Council website and social media.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Now, the Women Beyond Borders Networking Summit for 2023 takes place on Thursday, the 23rd of February. It's at the Inishowen Gateway Hotel Buncrana and runs from 6 p.m. till 9:30 p.m. It's €25 to attend. But your admission to the event is included delicious finger buffet, free goodie bag, promotional stand, and mocktail cocktail, and also inspirational and motivational speech from invited guests. All right, Elaine McEnaugh is PRO for Donegal Women in Business Network. Good morning to you. Thank you very much for joining us. Elaine.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm good, okay. What's the function of this evening? I mean, it seems pretty obvious, but I want you to sort of relate it for us.
Of course, yeah, and thank you, Greg. You've always been a great advocate of the Donegal Women in Business Network, so we do appreciate the shout-out. Thank you. So really what this is about is Donegal Women in Business Network, Women in Enterprise Dairy, Londonderry, and Enterprise in Women Mid and East Antrim. They've come together, collaborated to bring together an event really to give women a chance to connect cross-border, to hear from inspirational speakers who have actually had the challenges, have started to work cross-border, connect together, and have made such a success out of it. So, for example, on the night, we're going to hear from Helen Duddy, E&I Engineering, Sandra Devaney, General Manager from McElhinney's. They've made a fantastic success working cross-border, and we have expert panellists on the evening: Linda McGibbon, Edel McBride, Katrina Jones, Evelyn McGlynn, Joanne Doherty. These are really fantastic, inspirational women. They've really made it work. And I suppose for us, we love networking. So any opportunity to get out and to, make new connections and to get together in person. So we're very blessed this time. We've actually got a very nice warm welcome. We're going to have mocktails and cocktails from Muff Liquor Gin. So thanks to them, they've sponsored that. And then it's in the Inishowen Gateway Hotel in Buncrana, which is beautiful, and they're doing nice finger food. So really, it's informal. It's an opportunity for women in business, all women in business. Like, this is open for everyone to get together, come out, hear some inspiration, and make new connections. And that's really what it's all about.
And I think it can't be overstated, the networking element of this really, because I've heard the stories. I mean, on the face of it, you think, networking, it's just like saying, let's have a blue sky meeting or something. Do you know what I mean? Just buzzwords that you hear in business. But that was in ignorance, I thought, that when you speak to people, they make these business connections, and it's not necessarily something immediate that you get something from on that day. you probably will in terms of conversation and advice, but, in terms of how businesses can work together, you're making those, it's like an in-person LinkedIn almost, but not with the whole world, with, people that you probably could do business with very, very well, or learn from, or engage with, or supply or receive.
100%, Greg. And I mean, really and truly, everyone is coming maybe from different areas. That could be working from the kitchen table. Others are maybe in a bigger industry. But, you can be quite isolated in business, and there's so much for it to actually make connections and just to step outside of your own zone sometimes and hear from others. And, you'll always get little nuggets from it. So it'll help you further your own business goals. And if nothing else out of it, it's that people connection. Like, we're all really good now at our online work and our connections online. But it's, there's nothing to beat that in-person connection, as you know, from attending events as well. So, yeah, I think it's great. Now, the one big thing just to note, Greg, it's actually closing this evening, the ticket link at 6 p.m. So there is 100 goodie bags as well for the first 100 arriving on the evening after 6. So if you haven't got your ticket already, I would suggest booking tonight. They can get the booking link on our own website, Donegal womeninbusinessnetwork.com, or via Eventbrite. And it's well covered on social media on the Donegal Women in Business or the Women in Enterprise.
Yeah, I think too, sometimes you can be into something, be it business or whatever, and you just feel like you're treading, you're not moving forward, or you're not progressing, or there's a frustration there. Something like this could reinvigorate people, remotivate them if need be.
That's what it is. And it's an opportunity just to have a look at yourself and have a look at what others are doing. And, you can never underestimate the power of connection. You may meet someone today and you exchange cards or you exchange numbers, and then maybe in 6 months' time, you might have a piece of business for them. They could have something for you, or you could collaborate on something.
Never works for me.
That's really what it's all about.
It never works for me.
Does it not work for you?
I think it's my face. I don't know what it is. My face.
Oh no,
I'm easy to work with.
Plenty of connections.
No,
I think you're.
I'm easy to work.
Your area is Twitter. You're the online guru. We'll give you that.
Elaine, come here, and TikTok. Actually, I'm quite a success on
You're
TikTok.
You're good at that as well. You're doing really good at that.
500,000 video views. Isn't that impressive?
It's incredible. It really is. No, it's a credit to you. And as I say,
I'm joking. I don't want to talk. Elaine, don't talk about me. I'm joking. I'm taking the hand out of myself. Come here. Listen. Good luck with that. It sounds like it's actually going to be enjoyable as well. And it's not for 8 hours. No harm in that either. But it's an evening, 6 p.m. to 9:30
It's a
p.m. All right.
Nice evening event. And Camilla Long is comparing it, and she's fabulous as well. So no, really, really nice evening. I'm looking forward to meeting up with everyone in person myself. So no, it's going to be great.
I think Helen Duddy was on with us not so long ago, I believe. Was it Helen?
I think it was a couple of weeks ago.
She was on with her brother. It was. Yeah, very impressive. And particularly working in the area she is. So that's just one example of the type of guest that you have. Right, okay, listen, Elaine, best of luck with it. Have a great night too. I'm sure you'll enjoy yourselves. The crack will be good, as well as the serious element of it, I'm sure. Thanks, Elaine.
All right, Greg.
Bye-bye, Elaine. You too. Bye-bye. Elaine McEnroe, PRO of Donegal Women in Business Network. Google them. Go to the website if you want to book a ticket before 6 p.m. this evening and get your goodie bag. You get event. You get into the event. Your buffet, goodie bag, promotional stand, subject to availability, a cocktail. You know what you can do with your mocktail. Inspiration and motivation in abundance from all their invited guests. All right, and good to support an event like that, of course. All right, is it time for a break, or am I doing Sean next, Caroline? Yeah, okay. We need to get that siren we talked about. Do you remember the siren? I'll push the button and it gets your attention. No? Okay. Come on, Sean, I don't have time. I have time for you now. Let's go. Because we are talking about the Community Hero Award. Right, Sean, take a seat. Listen, thanks very much for calling in.
Very kind to have me.
Yeah, no problem. You're just filling a gap, really. You're not really. Sorry.
None taken. Don't worry.
I'm joking. Sometimes maybe it's hard to tell the difference. Okay, so we are right up against the deadline. We've had a great... Actually, set it out because we're doing this in collaboration with iMotors. And we were listening to the guys in here a couple of weeks ago and doing this for all the right reasons. And it's access for someone to a Nissan Qashqai for 12 months. And where, as I say, the deadline is tomorrow. tell us again why we got involved with iMotors, why they wanted to do this as well, please, Sean.
Yeah, so it's a lovely thing to do because it's about the people who go unrecognised in the community, who volunteer their time and add value to and help and support people who are in need. And what we did, Greg, is at the launch, we opened it up to everybody and anybody. And all we asked for is for somebody to nominate an individual who they felt deserved to be recognised. And iMotors were very kind to offer a car for the next 12 months. And it's not just any car, it's a brand new car that they'll be sitting in and using for 12 months. And they'll even service the car for them. So it's a great chance to recognise and I suppose make somebody who gives something to them for a change.
And when we start to try and give examples, I'd be reluctant because then you might think that those are only the qualifying criteria. What we're saying to, and I want to reiterate this, is that anyone doesn't have to be a high-profile person. And I'm not saying, I haven't seen who's entering, so I'm not saying that's happening, but it can be anyone that you think does stuff in the community for someone. I think particularly that might benefit from a vehicle. Maybe they're driving around a car with 200,000 miles on it. Now, that's not a lot in this day and age with the way cars are serviced, but that would be an extra nice sort of element to this as well, that someone that would go, wow, you mean I've got a really nice, reliable car for 12 months.
Yeah.
But as I say, that's not a qualifying criteria either. I just want to make sure that people listening, something flags with them and they go, all right, yep, that's Sean Quinn or whatever it might be.
Yeah, and I think it's that I haven't read all of them, okay?
Right,
because they're still, on a daily basis, they're still coming in. But they're what I'm delighted at is there's a variance of different people who have been recognised as well throughout the county. So that's exactly what we wanted to happen. But I suppose the message today is, if you haven't done it and you were thinking about it, you can still do it.
We're not looking for an essay. We're not looking for a biography. We're looking for a name, a brief description as to why. The words should come easy to you for the person, and then your contact details. It is that. Email to comments@highlandradio.com or dropped into us here, or if you're quick, post it into us. That's it. It's so people don't need to, as I say, find the right words. We'll sort all that out.
Absolutely. And even if they wanted to, if they don't want to write it, they can even ring, and they can have a conversation with me today if they wanted to do that, just to nominate somebody.
Over the line,
we get it over the line. We just don't want to leave anybody out here. And as I said, I've seen some of the entries. Some of them are absolutely fantastic, and it's amazing when you start reading into them what people do, and they're not recognised. So great opportunity. We'd be delighted. We'll have to shortlist. There's a panel of judges that will sit down between now and Friday. And all being well, we will come to you on Friday with a decision, with a winner, and we'll announce that, and we'll then arrange to present the car to them.
Brilliant. Now, the winner needs to have a full driver's licence, of course, and they will have to insure the vehicle. The rest is looked after in terms of servicing and what have you by iMotors. And that's not unreasonable, but obviously, because of the laws of the land and all that.
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely.
That's not unreasonable. The closing date for entries is tomorrow. Sean has hopefully made a rod for his own back. He'll actually take your call himself. Caroline and Katie or whoever else is answering the phone are actually going to put you through to Sean. You've committed. You're doing this.
I'll do that for them. Yeah, absolutely.
So
delighted to.
Give us a ring now. 07491 25,000. If you don't email or it's too late to post, and you'll be on the phone for a couple of minutes. Just give us the name, the reasons, your name, and away you go. And it's encouraging, Sean, isn't it? And you've sort of hinted at this already. And I've actually commented on this a couple of weeks ago. The people that do stuff in this county, it's unbelievable. From fundraising to tidy towns to looking after flowers. And I know there's a crossover with tidy towns there. Or just being the voice or the inspiration for a particular area. People that spent a winter trying to get money together for a defib. As I say, I'm just throwing stuff out there, but what my point being is that we're blessed that in every single pocket of this beautiful county of ours, there's these people that do amazing things. Fundraising for children, sports.
Yeah.
That parent that is at everything, volunteer at everything.
Been there.
Do you know what I'm on about?
Yeah,
it's just no end.
Yeah.
But all of those people are the threads that make up the wool, that make up the fabric of our society.
It's who we are, and it's why our communities are so special, and it's why Donegal is a great place to live, because of these people that continuously do it. but they don't do it for the recognition. They do it for the love of where they live and the people that they want to support. And I just think it's lovely to be involved with iMotors, to be able to give back to somebody that does this on a daily basis. They don't do it ad hoc. They do it on a daily basis consistently. And it's a great thing to recognise. And some lucky person's going to be driving a nice brand new car for 12 months.
Beautiful 231 Nissan Qashqai. It's kind of it's kind of like a crossover. It's an SUV, it's a car. It's I don't know if they categorise it as such, but that's how I see it. Beautiful big wheels on it. Beautiful brand new car with all the gizmos you'd expect within. They have it for 12 solid months. So if you know this person that goes beyond the call of duty, helps in the community, cares in the community, volunteers, or just goes that extra mile for neighbours or friends, please get in touch with us now. Email comments@highlandradio.com. Just put community hero in the whatever that box is called under the address bar, subject box. Or give us a ring, 07491 25000. One of the team will take the details from you. I'm just about Sean, but one of us will. We're a team here. Right, Sean, so we just won a last rush. As I say, we're really impressed with the entries. We've got loads in. It's just to catch the last few that deserve to be considered.
If you were thinking about it and you haven't done it, today's the day to do it, okay? One key last thing is make sure you give us your contact details, because if we don't have it, unfortunately, we've had quite a few letters and some of them haven't had contact details on them. So we will try to contact if they're shortlisted, but it's just please make sure you've got your contact details.
If you sent a letter in, please chase it up. If you think you didn't put your contact details on it, please give us a buzz. And we can sort of put your name to the letter.
That'd be good.
Because actually you went to a lot of bother probably writing it and posting it. So if you sent in a letter and you think you didn't put you'd be pretty confident. If you didn't put your contact details on, please get back into us. All right, Sean, that's it. All right. Anything else to plug?
That's great. No, nothing to plug today, Greg. No, it's coming though. It's on its way.
I haven't seen
week or two.
I haven't seen the draw drum for a while.
It's on its way.
Is it?
We're fixing it up here, repairing it from the last time we moved it.
Yes.
You helped me that day, so we kind of...
Well, I didn't... No, it wasn't me.
Was
it was
not?
you and Kevin.
Oh, it was Kevin Fury then. Okay.
Did it sustain...
Yeah, you stood and watched us, that's right. I remember that now. Yeah, you stood and watched us.
Hey, listen, every project needs a good foreman. All right, Sean Quinn, Head of Sales. Thanks, Sean. Really appreciate it.
Thanks,
and we
Greg.
really want a final big rush on that competition. As I say, we have tons of entries already, but we want to make sure that everyone that deserves to be considered is considered.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
BizPrint now offer printed mugs, cotton bags, rulers and pens. They make printing easy and affordable with quality colour printing to suit all businesses and budgets. Call BizPrint in Letterkenny on 91777955 or visit bizprint.ie.
Raymond Sweeney here from Ben Sweeney Aeronix to let you know about the Blomberg Integrated Dishwasher, which can save you time and money. When you're pressed for time, you can choose a quick 30-minute or 58-minute wash cycle or an intelligent auto program for perfect wash results every time. The German-engineered inverter motor means it operates at low noise level, so it's whisper quiet. And there's a 7-year parts and labour warranty for peace of mind. Call in and see for yourself at Ben Sweeney Aeronix, Port Road, Letterkenny, or in the shopping centre Dunlow.
The rock and roll years and dancehall days is back for the last time. The Smash Hit Show, where the cast take you on a roller coaster ride of nostalgia with over 40 hit songs from the 50s and 60s. Don't miss this record-breaking musical filled with musical memories at the Millennium Forum, Derry, Thursday, the 23rd of February. Tickets at the box office.
Make great photos into beautiful gifts at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Different gift ideas include canvas prints, freestanding or ready-to-hang art blocks, and personalised photo books, perfect to mark any occasion. There's also jigsaws, calendars, mugs, and much more. For details, visit mcgees.ie. Turn your favourite moments into something truly special with McGee's Chemist Letterkenny.
Hello, I'm David Foley, medical herbalist. Are you suffering with dry, tickly, sore throat? Then try Irish Botanica Throat Coat Spray, providing instant relief for sore throats. Irish Botanica Throat Coat Spray is ideal for public speakers or for those who talk a lot. Call into Natural Way, Letterkenny Shopping Centre for more information.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Fly daily to London Heathrow with Aer Lingus and connect to 80 plus destinations worldwide, including Boston and New York. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
So the early afternoon will be mostly cloudy with patches of light rain or drizzle. More persistent rain will develop in the late afternoon and evening. Highest temperatures 10 to 11 degrees in moderate to fresh and gusty southerly wind. Sounds like a nasty enough all afternoon and evening, doesn't it? Okay. Tom Murray is a pharmacist at Murray Pharmacies in Donegal. He joins us now. Great to have you back on the show. Tom, how are you keeping?
I'm grand, Greg. How are you?
Good. Right, we're just getting an update from you because we spoke to you before about a shortage of certain drugs, and we were just wanted to sort of find out what the state of play is now. Do the problems persist?
The problem persists, and it changes possibly from week to week in which drugs are short. So lately, for example, the IPU, we did a survey of all of our members, and 97% of members said that the problem of drug shortages had significantly increased in the last year. 60% saying an awful lot had increased in the last 4 months alone, and over 60% saying that it had adversely affected patients. So it is an acute problem, but it's not a problem that's consistent on the same medicines all the time. And there's just a couple of things I suppose I would say to patients and to the public is, number one, don't panic. There is no cause for panic, and don't hoard medicines, because whatever problems there are, hoarding medicines will make them far worse. For example, there is in Donegal, we have a pharmacist WhatsApp group between all the pharmacists in Donegal. So if you come into your local pharmacy, wherever that may be, and they're out of the medicines, we have a really active group where people have put them saying, I've got a problem with the supply of this today. Can anybody help me that I can come and collect it from you later on, or that we can have it for the next day for the patient? So we're very lucky in the pharmacy network in Donegal, and particularly the amount of work that pharmacists are doing to maintain supply for patients. And it's a phenomenally busy group, and it takes a lot of time. But I would advise people to stick with their local pharmacist initially for their medicine requests, because that's the pharmacist that will know all of their medicine history and will know their interactions with other medicines and any allergies they have, and it's just safer to use your local pharmacy. I wouldn't be necessarily panicking about these shortages. They are ongoing for the reasons that you and I have discussed before. Currently there's 247 medicines listed by the HPRA, that's the monitoring body of medicines that are in short supply, which is including some epilepsy drugs, some asthma drugs, some diabetes drugs, and ongoing problems with some antibiotics. Their list, the HPRA list, can be up to 10 to 12 days out of date, so for the most up-to-date information, it's probably best to go in and talk to your local pharmacist who can see in real time if the drugs are available or not. But again, I would urge the public not to panic, to continue using their local pharmacy, and that we'll do all we can.
Mm-hmm. It's great to see it's great to see you guys working as a team. Good for people to hear that as well, helping each other out. Last time I spoke to you, you were looking for a measure to be invoked that would allow you to offer alternatives to medicines. Did anything ever come of that?
Not yet, and we would still request the severe shortage protocol, that where there is, for example, an antibiotic that's in severe shortage and it's a temporary measure, that if I had an alternative antibiotic with a similar clinical performance, that I could recommend that without referring the patient back to the doctor, without causing delays to patient care, and without adding to the waiting lists and the pressure that GPs are under, because the last thing they need is pharmacists ringing them umpteen times a day to say, can I make this really obvious clinical change from one drug to the other. The severe shortage protocol hasn't been progressed yet. We are still calling for that as a measure to help deliver patient care without delay. But we wait to see that happen.
I was speaking to Dr. Kieran O'Farry a little earlier on, and he was talking about, small changes that could presumably help assist in keeping pressure off acute hospitals and what have you, and better outcomes for patients. We've heard similar sort of suggestions coming from pharmacists as well. I mean, and I'll put the same point to you as I did he, there's a great wealth of professionalism and knowledge there that will not solve the problems that we have, but if they were properly utilised and utilised better, it would be a part of the solution. It's frustrating we don't see that, isn't it?
It is very frustrating that we don't see that. I mean, absolutely, I think there are a range of clinical skills and practices across the whole of healthcare, and there's pressure points at each point in the healthcare system, and anything that alleviates one may help reduce pressure in the second. So there are a number of minor ailments, for example, which pharmacists could quite easily prescribe for without those people clogging up GPs' surgeries for minor eye infections, for example. For chronic hay fever, for conditions like that, which could be very easily managed within the pharmacy, which currently patients are forced to go to the GP to manage, which adds to the waiting list in the GPs, and even some of those patients who, if they feel that the waiting list in the GP might belong, end up going to casualty for things that there's really no need to be in casualty for.
So let's break that down a little bit. So say, for instance, currently, I don't know what the medical term for it is, but say a child has a sty in the eye, it requires a drop, an antibiotic drop. That child and the parent probably has to take them out of school, take a day off work, take them to the GP. That's taking up a slot there, obviously, and these things come in waves and they're very common. That's just one example. You know what it is. Bring you in. Yeah. You have a look at it, right? You go, yeah, I've seen this a million times before. Prescribe whatever the medicine is. 2 or 3 days later, the child's back. And that's one extra slot at the GPs. And that's just one very basic example, just to so everyone understands exactly what we're talking about.
And it's a very good example. Mild conjunctivitis in children, most of the time, is bacterial. Most of the time will resolve within 72 hours of using chloromycetin drops or fusiophthalmic drops. Chloromycetin drops are available over the counter in many jurisdictions in Europe, and indeed they're over the counter in Britain now. And again, that is an excellent example whereby even if a patient has a medical card or not, that the pharmacist could process the medical card, could treat the mild condition and release a spot in the GPs. And that's exactly what we're talking about. A simple thing that relieves a bit of pressure further down the chain. Yeah. Obviously, if the condition didn't resolve within 48, 72 hours, we'd be referring the patient to a GP.
But often, often you go to the GP with a child, they will say, look, we're not going to prescribe anything at the moment, but monitor the child for 24, 48 hours, and if things develop, come back. Again, another slot taken at the GPs. Listen, thanks very much, Tom, as always, for your time. I really do appreciate it, and your insight as well. It's great to have access to yourself. I appreciate it. Right, Thomas Sean Devine is an organiser for a protest at the Dáil today. 19 of the county's 37 councillors have agreed to attend. What is the mood, Thomas, going down the road, I wonder? I mean, it's not you're not celebrating, but it's not insignificant either. I mean, to get that many cross-party reps down.
No, to be honest, Greg, it's very disappointing that only 19 have confirmed, and I have to give them their due, so 19 has confirmed to come. But it's very disappointing from the Fianna Fáil party. Not surprising, but very disappointing that they refused to send their councillors down. I know Martin McDermott I'm just not there yet, but he's allegedly attending on his own capacity. He's not representing Fianna Fáil as far as I've been told. But it's very disappointing that they refuse to ignore the request to come and represent the people, the thousands of people in Letterkenny and Liverpool areas that is deeply affected by this issue, and they chose not to come.
What is going to happen today? You obviously were seeking a meeting between these reps and Darragh O'Brien. Is that going to happen? Where are you actually going to congregate? Is it outside Leinster House? Are you going inside? What's the plan of action at the moment?
Well, I congregate now outside, and the Dáil starts at 2 o'clock. And then we have a room inside booked for 4 o'clock. And all the TDs and senators and that have been invited to come and hear out the demands of people of Donegal. Are not taking the crumbs from the tables anymore. But this paper trail, kicking the can down the road, has to come to an end.
And is there a photo... sorry, Thomas. Is there a photo opportunity? Yeah. In other words, has the national media been invited to get a picture of all of these councillors outside the Dáil?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
National media, a whole lot has been contacted. They come here today as well.
All right.
You know,
okay, well, listen...
That's not something that publicity stands for parties or anything
at all. You. Right.
So there's a banner here in my arm that they'll be standing behind, demanding equality. And I'm sort of out of breath here.
No problem. Listen, come here, Thomas. You did great. I'm going to let you get on. We're going to track it on the news, of course, throughout the course of the day. And I do hope it gets the publicity